Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to the next episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. The podcast where this week we are excited because we have games to talk about, the gaming news have provided, and we have an awesome guest to discuss all of this with. I'm your host, Mr. K. Asante, TKO Asante, at all the places, the PlayStation, the Xbox, the Twitters, all the places we find ourselves. And of course, I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the slanderous one. How's that Kickstarter going on, brother? Mr. Everborn.
We are currently, I think, 73 or 74% funded.
Okay.
And we'll do our whole pitch later, but we have a guest. I'll just say, go to Kickstarter right now, search Everborn. Please back the campaign. There's a lot of amazing stuff going on. We are offering all these books plus our latest chapter. It's the 7th chapter in this epic saga that we are putting together. It is all independently owned. I will put our work against anybody in the business. Check it out. I promise it won't be you won't be disappointed. And you can get a free comic right now. Go to the Kickstarter campaign and we give you a link to Ariel's Adventure Chapter 1 so you can be caught up to Ariel's Adventure Chapter 2 and hopefully back the campaign. But we'll talk about that more. Let's introduce our esteemed guest.
Absolutely. So I talked about this some time ago when I freshly came back from Gamescom, and that is that I happened to running around, interview appointments, seeing games and things like that, and I happened to hop across a game that was not on my schedule, but somehow, some way it worked out, and I was able to see this game, and it was a game called It's Only Money, and it blew me away because it just had such great ideas made by a small team doing very interesting things. And that is where I met the gentleman that we are going to talk to this morning, Aaren Alexander from the studio The Usual Suspects, one of the devs of It's Only Money. Welcome, sir. Pleasure to have you here. How are you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. A little tired, but no, I'm very appreciative for the invite and the opportunity to be here. And I think I mentioned it to you earlier, like as soon as we watched your show and the way you described the game, we were like captivated, man. So it's a privilege to be here, bro.
Oh, I appreciate it. I still recall our first meeting, and I was like, so let me be honest with you. Let me give you some backstory real quick. I'm running around. Gamescom is a sea of humans, like a variable ocean of humans, and you have a strict timeline. So you got to be at a certain place at a certain time. This is my first time there. So I'm like, I don't want to be disrespectful and be there late. So I'm like running around like a crazy person trying to get there on time. I get to the presumed location I'm supposed to be at, and the people I was supposed to see were not there at all. There was just nothing there. And I'm just like, see, now these people are going to think I just like made this appointment and I'm not even going to show up. How disrespectful and rude am I? I was not in a good place at that moment. And then I think it was your partner that was there, was like, saw my name tag and went, hey, your name is on our list, which don't know how that worked out. Maybe it was a snafu from the PR or whatever. But ultimately, yeah, I got to see It's Only Money. Now, let me actually put some of that on the screen. I've played it before, but let me play a bit of it again. There you go. So this is me rummaging around the world, watching my show inside your world. I was like, there's a YouTube screen? Does it get GCP? I'm like, yes, it absolutely does. This is amazing. But yes, for those who may not be well-versed, or those who may have missed that episode, why don't you give us the elevator pitch, the broad strokes of what It's Only Money is all about?
Yeah, sure, man. I think you'd do a better job of it than I did, because I think even at the meeting, I'm like, hey, listen, this is going to sound insane, but no, there's 5 of us down in New Zealand, and the long story short is when the lockdown happened and things like that, me and my friend Jade, who I started the company with, we were like, hey, we should just make something while we're locked inside, and we'll see what happens. And the very earliest sort of thought of this was like, I wonder if it's possible to make kind of an open world Grand Theft Auto thing with just a few people these days. Like, and we had some studio experience and game development experience, kind of like 10 years, 20 years worth at this point.
Okay.
And so we just started playing around and yeah. So, and then eventually, we hire our friends and add them to bolster the project. But essentially, It's Grand Theft Auto told through the eyes of a child, and as you had rightly mentioned a couple episodes back, it's like there's some serious topics here, but we play with it. We're not like trying to beat you over the head with any, heavy opinions here. We're just, telling jokes and like kind of laughing at how dumb things are these days. And so there's sort of everything you'd expect. There's, missions and big cinematic heists and vehicles and stealing and customizing cars and houses and your character combat. Just there was a ambition from all of us to like, we all love different games. Like within our team, it's not like we all enjoy the same thing. And it's like, I might like drifting in cars, while this guy might like, I don't know, super deep combat systems. And we're like, well, can we make a game that encompasses all of our different interests? And the open world sort of crime game was like kind of the perfect playground for all of our ideas to coalesce. And in a sense, that's what It's Only Money became. Yeah.
Excellent. Now I have to ask, since you put it out there, what other games have you worked on in the past? I know The Usual Suspect Studios is an amalgamation of your friends and the studio you built, but what experience did you bring to this project?
Yeah. So but between all of us, there's sort of smaller. We worked on like a VR game called Out of Ammo, which is like a RTS type of thing it used to be on the Vive and stuff like that. Stationeers, which is a survival game. Some of us worked on Icarus, which is like a bigger survival game. And then Folklore Hunter, which is sort of like a horror game. And then, myself, I helped, I was one of the founding members of New Blood Interactive, which does like Dusk and Ultra Kill and like sort of indie heavy hitter shooters. So there's just like a lot of, I'm probably missing a bunch of stuff that other people have worked on, but like between us, there's just like a lot of experience from the smaller, most indie projects all the way up to, giant, massive, published, PC and console stuff. So yeah, just a broad spectrum, really.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So when we first talked about this, right? You and I'll do a terrible job of it compared to what you did when you guys did when we were on. You were showing me the game. You paired the map back and showed me the size of the world, and you guys were showing me all the things you could do in that. I have to ask, right? I understand you have a lot of history, as you described, a good experience, historical reference points of different kinds of games that your team brings to this. But isn't a game of this size a daunting task for 5 people? Like,
it is.
Isn't it potentially seems like it's too much of a beast for 5 people? And how did you guys attack something so massive? And I mean, obviously, we're looking at the end product, so we're seeing all the various ins and outs that make up the game. But to sit down and go, I want to make a GTA game, every grocery store needs stuff. Every location needs need to be lived in. Newspapers, articles, music in the background, taxi cabs. Like, it's just a whole world. How did you guys tackle that? And how long have you been busy with it?
I think it's a credit to like each individual person on the team. Like, we're all like a house of cards where if you pull one person out, suddenly, the work gets much too heavy for the rest of the individuals. Like, everyone does 5 people's job, and everyone, like the 4 other guys, Jade, Hamish, Rory, and Sean, are like tremendous individuals who, they're hard working guys. I like to consider myself that too. We're in every day just, trying our best, and we all have these massive conversations about, okay, like, what's going to push this thing forward? What's the primary and supreme tasks here, and what can we get rid of? Because, it's been an early access and we have experience. So we kind of treat this like a live game. We ascertain, what do people want from this? What do we have the time to do before the next update? And how can we get there, obviously without killing ourselves with a bunch of work. But it does end up being that, but that helps us. And yeah, like it's the game development's in a spot where we are familiar with the tools. We're using Unreal 5, and we all have our experience. Like, for example, when I do the music, like that's just been a thing I've done for fun for however long, where it's kind of like, okay, I kind of understand what I'm doing here. And so the game is like a real, it's a jack of all trades, master of none. And I think that's a apt way to describe each of the people on the team too. It's like we're decently proficient at a lot of different things. And as long as we're fixated on the end goal of whatever update or, whatever arbitrary goal we have to meet, somehow we just get there, man. Like it's just been, the earliest days was just me and Jade and some long nights and just, we're just going for it. And then as you introduce people, we all had to find a way to work together and all have to just have great discussions about where are we going with this. And somehow we pull it off, man. Yeah, I that's a long-winded way to say it's a lot of work.
No, this is great, man. Go ahead, Everborn.
Here's a question. What is your, like, you're working on this and it starts off with, you and one other person.
Yeah.
How do you get other people on board to kind of believe in the vision? So there's one thing to, pitch as a salesman to say, hey, player, customer, this is why you should check out this game. But how do you pitch this to other creators that will help you and jump into this job where, 5 people worth of work, one guy or girl, like what's that process like for you?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think obviously the elephant in the room is I'm like, hey, you can get paid to come here and do this. Like that certainly helps. Yeah, so it hasn't been volunteer. The guys we brought on obviously were like, these were full-time positions, and they even go beyond that a lot of the time. But I mean, it is a tough one. It's every, like, all the other guys had stable like AAA studio jobs, or maybe they had just left something like that. So we just at a certain point, Jade and I, when we were making this very early on, and it was such a different game and attracted like investment and publishing opportunities and things like that, that we were like, okay, we have enough here that we can provide stable incomes for people. And we had our eyes on people anyway. Like each of these guys are our friends first and foremost. People I value very dearly and are high character people. So the moment the opportunity came to hire them, I hit them up straight away.
So you knew the team prior. It wasn't like you put out a call and say, I need a 3D modeler or.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Yeah. I knew them. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. It's a thing that we deal with a lot, because what we're doing with the Everborn thing, like one of the biggest achievements for me was like putting the team together for the way we make stuff. And it's not easy, right? Because you can find people who are happy to take your money, but do they believe in what you're doing? Do they believe in the project? Are they gonna put that extra level? And that's completely separate from just hiring someone, right? Like, so building that team is sort of the foundation of any sort of creative work like that. So
yes. Yeah, I was to add to what you're saying, it's like without these 4 individuals and myself and the relationship we have, I don't think we could pull off something quite as big. Like, it requires an immense amount of trust and understanding in each other. And again, like, these 4 people are just super high character. Even when we're having days where like, oh, this update isn't received well, or hey, we feel this should get more attention, nobody's staying in bed and like, this sucks, to heck with you guys can do the rest. It's like everyone's in there. We're all, even in the most uncomfortable moments, having very open conversations, and it's just, they're great dudes, all of them. And we have a lot of great help around us too. Like there's supporting roles. My partner does a lot of the admin stuff, so we can not focus on that and just focus on the product. We have another friend, Tim, who helps with a lot of the business stuff, and and yeah, there's a lot of people that help us outside as well, all just very great people, and yeah, it takes an army to make a kingdom. But as you say, like, you got to pitch these people on the vision as well, and I think naturally along the path, like, sometimes the vision doesn't fully coalesce, and it's about how people deal with that as well. And I think everyone on the team has shipped stuff and been on this journey. But it's cliche, but it is a marathon, not a sprint. And I liken making a big project, be it a game or a movie or music, to like summiting a mountain. Like, at some point you will need to sit down and have a break, and it's on everyone else to be like, that's cool, man, like, we'll help you, we'll help you up the mountain. Yeah.
Excellent. Go ahead, everyone. You have another one?
No. The other thing is, like, how did you handle, like, funding in the beginning, right? Because people can buy the game now.
Yep.
So I assume that's where it comes from. But in the beginning, how do you convince a team of people, or do you secure funding and then say, this is our budget, so we can hire this many people?
Yeah. Initially, it was just Jade and I. We were just making this for fun. I don't think either of us expected like some grand company design or anything like that. But at least in New Zealand, and particularly the region of New Zealand that we're in, has like a governmental sort of grant program called Code, where they'll divvy out some funds for particularly video game development, which was like hugely helpful to us early on. And with that money, we were able to build the project further. And then eventually, you can make something cool enough or promising enough that investors or other people would like to get involved. So we went that route. And fortunately for us, the people who got on board are really understanding of the process, and they don't mess with us at all. They're just here to see this through. And we've been extremely fortunate in that aspect. Yeah, we, between grants and investment, and obviously Jade and I, right at the beginning, put in our own, sort of personal funds as well, and time. Yeah, just all of the above, really.
Very cool.
How long has the project been going on? How long have you guys been doing this? Like, if you have a ballpark of prototype to where we are now, what's the length of time you think?
The initial response in my head is like 3 years, though it may have been longer or shorter around that. Yeah.
Okay. 3 years of time. Oh wow, that's a lot of your life right now. I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. All right. So okay. So people, we want you to try the game if you have not tried it before. It's a game that currently the demo of is on Steam right now. You can go hit the play button, play the demo. If you like it, it's not that much of a cost at all. It's very for what you get, it's surprisingly cheap. I will say. So I'm hoping that gets more people to try it. Right now, it is a Steam dedicated game. Any plans for moving to any other platform?
Yeah, I mean, once we obviously we're hitting 1.0 in October, so we're graduating from early access. And I think we'll spend some time, fixing up whatever we missed and things like that. But our intention from Usual Suspects side is to just put this everywhere we can, and we'll look into that. Once the seas have calmed a bit, we'll start to look into bringing it wherever, be that PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, and streaming, whatever. Whoever wants it, they can get it. Basically, that's our mantra.
Cool, very cool. All right, so yes, again, if you haven't tried it and you have, like, I don't know, an ROG Ally or one of those handhelds, it is easily accessible, easily playable. It's super fun. Oh, Everborn Saga, when I first showed you this game, you had a question for me, and I said we should wait and answer that question with Aaren on. I think now's the perfect time. So if I recall correctly, do you remember the question, by the way, Everborn?
Not at all. You're gonna.
Okay.
I don't remember what I had for breakfast. So
breakfast is just now. The question was, have you guys? And at the time he brought this up, I thought it was because of the way the game itself is laid out, that the way that they speak is also part and parcel of the experience.
I remember now.
You remember now? Why don't you retell ask the question then? Go ahead.
Have you ever considered voice acting? And I know that brings its own expense, but in a large game like this, there are tools that would sort of do voice to speech or emotive text to speech. Have you ever considered that?
Yeah, we haven't considered it until we heard that episode, and I think
Oh wow,
I think
excellent.
Quissy brought it up. Yeah, we're like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's amazing.
yeah, that might actually
Yeah.
be a great solution to not paying, money we don't have for
Yeah,
million voice actors. But
Yeah.
it's like it's not off the table. Obviously, gaming culture and stuff has its own opinions on AI and the rest of it, and I'm like, we have to be cognizant of that too. But it's such a kind of a genius call, honestly.
I mean, there's a difference between a $1 billion organization like EA or Ubisoft or Microsoft or whatever.
Go ahead and
doing
throw him
that.
under the bus right now this morning.
Everybody's
Damn.
under the bus today. Nobody's safe, but there's a difference, and I feel like people would understand if we're talking about a small studio of less than 10 people for an indie project versus a big company who could afford to bring on the top tier talent. So personally, I think I would understand, and it would be on a completely different spectrum of what is accepted. Because listen, I'm old. I'm already wearing glasses. Sometimes, and this is the kind of game that is really fun on a handheld. Yeah. And so just reading all the text hurts my eyes. But again, we're talking about a soon-to-be graybeard. So maybe this is just an old man Everborn problem, but I would highly appreciate, and I don't care how the audio gets there, but if there was some way to handle voice acting, especially in a big open world like this, I really don't think people would mind,
No, I mean it's a fantastic point, and it's one that as soon as I heard it mentioned, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a heck of an idea, because obviously my son likes to play the game, and he's not at the point yet where he has a whole bunch of reading comprehension, so he just kind of likes the cutscenes, and that's what he's at. And the other challenge is you make a big open world game, and if it's all text based, it's you lose a lot of that audio. Part of the fun of GTA or something is walking past somebody,
immersion,
hearing,
hearing the yes.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
Something like that. Consider my my interest peaked, man. It's such a good call. I had honestly I haven't super looked into it yet, but it is something that's stuck in my brain ever since hearing that, for sure.
That is awesome. So if you hear voice acting in there one day, we appreciate the feedback we were able to provide.
It started here.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome.
Just one other question. So you said this is UE5.
Yep.
Did it start in UE5 or did you start in UE4 and port it to 5?
Yeah, we started in UE4, and normally we wouldn't change. Our programmers, Jade and Rory, they're very, if it works, don't mess with it. This is where it's staying, which is a reasoned and mature response, I think. But the entire pitch of UE5 to us from Epic was this is the engine designed to handle much larger open world stuff, and it's getting there. So yeah, started in UE4.
What were the prime benefit? I know what Epic said, right? But in practice, in real life, not in theory, in real life, what are the real world benefits that you would say, if any, that you've seen from the move to UE5?
And forgive me, I'm listening to this wonderful, really introspective, good back and forth while I'm watching my chaotic gameplay. Forgive me.
Oh, this is another thing, Aaren. It's a tradition on this show for Kayasante and bad gameplay.
I'm watching it too. I'm having a good time.
I'm driving over people. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So the most functional benefit that we've had, there's been a few, but I think the most functional thing is in UE4, when I wanted to edit the city, it's considered a map, right? Even if even though it's massive or whatever. And while I'm in the map, nobody else can touch that. So while I'm making the city, like literally no one else on the team can touch that. And the transition to Unreal 5 means that each singular asset, this light post, this fence, this road, is all its own asset. And so we can all be in there and editing different things independently of each other, which really helped. It was a huge it was a huge quality of life change for us. And you know, they've got other tech in there, Lumen and all these real-time sort of lighting and ray tracing solutions. None of that really, you know, made sense for our game. And you know, like a lot of the benefits are lost on us only because you know we're trying to keep the performance overhead down. But for making a massive world like this, that, you know, I think they call it one actor per file or something like that. That was huge. It means all of us can be working in this city independently of each other.
It's like a Google Doc where multiple people can be editing in sort of real time.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. 100%.
No, that's super powerful. And I'll say, like, I was playing this on the little Puck device that we set up, which is
mini
basically
PC.
It's a mini PC, but it's effectively a ROG Ally X for the most part. And so all I did was everything's on Epic, but I turned shadows down to low, basically 60. Right. So you guys did a really good job.
That's surprising.
Optimizing. So I'm still very early into it, so maybe like some chaos breaks out and things change, but like on a basically ROG Ally device, turn down the shadows, everything else is Epic, and
that's great.
Nearly a lock 60.
Yeah, so you should be fine if that's where it's at. No, Roy and Jade are, you know, again, the programmers, and Jade's the co-founder, and they try their best. There's certain things that are out of their hand. That's more to do with, you know, the tech that we build it on, but they're always looking for ways to make the game more lightweight, because it's surprising. I think Quissy had mentioned it. It's surprisingly like heavy for compared to what it looks like. You expect it to just be the stinky thing. But you know, we'll get it there. We're simulating hundreds of NPCs and traffic and just complex inventory systems, and it's you know, step by step we'll bring the overhead down, I think. And we have throughout early access. We've tried our best to do that. But no, that's great to hear that it's at least it's getting there for you.
Oh yeah, it runs great. Even on battery back devices, I'm able to get it to lock 60, able to play. Although, like I was saying, you'd think this thing would run on a potato, but boy, oh boy, there's a lot of complex systems on display. You know, that's what blew me away in the first place. Like, there's so much happening at the same time. You know, it's really cool.
Yeah.
No, just great. You talked about systems. So what is that like in a game? Like, every game is sort of the balancing act of different systems, whether it's inventory, whether it's classes, you know, points, whatever the thing is. How do you balance, or what's your approach to balancing the different systems that you have at play, right? So you've got NPCs, you've got cars, you've got dialogue, you've got main quests that you need to keep people's attention on while still giving them the freedom to say, hey, what's in this direction? And like, what's your process for balancing the different systems that you have at play?
Yeah, both in terms of balancing the systems and balancing which ones we're primarily like developing. I think that's where early access was a genuine tool. Like we with chapter 0, we threw out the base levels of all this content. We're like, let's see what people like, and let's see, you know, what people don't like, and we can prioritize our time there. And every single system, be it the cars, like they spawn their own dynamic inventory, you can see on the screen here. And the NPCs have their own dynamic, you know, things that make them up. Our ultimate goal when we go into making a system is interplay with each other. So we come up with a weapon that shoots a balloon that can make people fly away or something, we're like, okay, will this work with vehicles? Will this work with NPCs? And will it lead to a situation that we can't even predict? And so that's sort of, the whole game is treated like, when we're making it, we have a toy box, which is the city, and we want to fill it with a bunch of different toys. And the toys might do weird stuff with each other, and that's okay. And as we've matured and gone along developing this thing, our ambition has changed from, are these, well thought out and clever ideas, to like, let's just let the people who play this do whatever they want with it. And if that means them flying out of the city 8,000 miles away, so be it, as long as they smiled all that way. So yeah, I wish I could give you a better answer, but it's such a big, weird, open, dynamic thing that we try our best to make a well-designed thing at the start, but also
together. Yep.
Yeah, but also if you just want to break the thing, go for it. Yeah.
Well, that leads me to two questions, and then Kay, you can take us wherever you want to go from there. The first one is, what is the thing that you've seen players do that you least anticipated? Meaning, because you build a game, you have an idea of how you would play it, you have an idea of what you want the players to do, but in especially open world games, and in early access, the story I hear a lot is we had no ideas that players would do this thing. Has that thing come up yet where you weren't intending this mechanic in a game and it turns out this is how people are having fun with the sandbox you've built?
Yeah, like we didn't anticipate such a love for the driving, and like to us, we'll never be satisfied with how it felt, for example. So it was just, it was in there because the expectation of one of these games was, stealing and customizing cars. We didn't have customizing cars at the start of our process. And so just we sort of anticipated that, obviously. We didn't quite anticipate the depth of how important those are to these types of games. And so one of our update cycles, chapter 2, the whole tent pole of that update was, let's bring Diablo to the cars, i.e. let's give them these random effects and random upgrades and random, this car can have seatbelts and NOS, and if you steal it, you can loot those parts out of it. And that, I think, still, that's one of our most well-received updates. So it's a real obvious one. It's like, yeah, it turns out people like driving and crime games, like, duh. But but to the depths that we had to go to like satisfy those requests, I think was a learning process for us. And additionally, I don't think we expected the humor to land, because we thought it was like quite a Kiwi, like New Zealand perspective on how we view the world, and we're like, no one's going to get this. Like, this is going to be funny for no one except us and our families. And I think that's been universally kind of like, people kind of dig it, and that's been pretty encouraging. So we've kind of redoubled our efforts on how we communicate the story, but also how much we are doing that. Yeah.
Very interesting. And the last thing, well, not the last thing, but I'll let Kay decide where we go next. So you guys decided on early access instead of going for a full release. What are the benefits of early access, and what sort of metrics do they offer that makes it beneficial to do early access? And that, I know that there were people that wondered, like, okay, like Towerborn, why'd they do why early access, and what metrics does it give you, and how do you use those metrics?
Yeah, so early access, I think, has been how I've worked for the longest time. New Blood does that a bunch. Yeah, the audio. And same with our last studio jobs. That's sort of the process we used to. I think it's just it's a real great. I wouldn't recommend just hopping in there with like a super unfinished game and a super unclear game, because chances are you might not make enough to finish the promise to the people who bought in early, right? Like it's quite a stressful thing. But along the way, as you deliver these updates, it's a real live sort of barometer of where people are at. Like, obviously, the people who buy in very early are invested in the core concept of a thing, but they might disagree or suggest other ways that you can take to the finish line. And all through this process, like, the city's grown like 4 times in terms of just sheer size through this process, because that's something people wanted. And they wanted less of a certain thing, which, you know, it helps us recalculate the best ways to spend our time. Because you know, 5 people making something like this, time is probably our most beneficial asset, you know. So yeah, it's a great live barometer of where your most ardent fans want you to take something, I think. However, it's not something to bank on to fund your way to the finish line as well. You're not guaranteed, you know, a certain amount of sales, and early access can be a huge turnoff to a lot of people as well.
That's good info. All right, Kay, where do we go next?
Well, I was just gonna show the fine folks the game. We're talking about the game. I know, Aaren, that you said you're here for the duration, and I appreciate that. So we'll just I'm thinking we're gonna keep it 2.5. We'll see how we go here. We always say that, and then we end up with a 4-hour ridiculous. We're not doing that today. Anyway, but you know what? We'll reconvene on this, right? And as the game goes on, obviously on the show, as I'm playing it, as we get more and more into it, I will definitely be sharing more information. And as the game matures, when it hits 1.0, I'll of course let the people know. People know that's what I do. I enjoy the interesting indie games and letting people know about it. But so while we have you here, we'll just start. We'll start with how we always start this thing. And I'll ask you first, Aaren. What games have been keeping you busy, sir? What kind of gamer are you? You know, give us some of your background and what brings you to It's Only Money. Like, what kind of games do you enjoy?
Yeah, you know, from the earliest age, I think my upbringing was around. My parents, you know, they had worked at like a rental store, and so at night they'd bring back a bunch of different things. So from the earliest times, I was exposed to like the Atari or the Commodore or the Genesis or the Super Nintendo, whatever, and so I was just more or less addicted to these things, addicted to playing as many things as possible, and that's something that's maintained throughout my adult life as well. And so, you know, over the past week, it's been a kind of PlayStation heavy week.
Okay.
I played and platinumed Astrobot, and then did it all again with my son. Nice, and that's been a real bonding sort of experience.
Isn't it amazing with the kids? Isn't it amazing? I know some people are like, oh, I'm not sure about Astrobot. If you have a kid of Astrobot age, oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. My son loves that game. Like, he loves that game. Yes. Please speak on it, sir.
No, yeah, it's what I'm most impressed by, and I was impressed by this with Playroom. We bought the PS5 just for that. I'm like, this is amazing. This looks great. The way that they honor and acknowledge PlayStation's like history throughout it, it does a lot for me emotionally. You know, I'm mid-30s, so like I grew up with this machine and its legacy. But for my boy, he's just like, I like this bot. He's great. I'm like, cool.
He's great.
Well, we can explore the history and these Easter eggs together, and I can explain them to you, and you could just have fun jumping around, and that's amazing. And yeah, Space Marine 2 did that as well. Loved it. You know, disagreed with some of the combat changes from the first game, namely the blocking and dodging. To me, I was just like, I'm a Space Marine, I'm tough as hell, I should be able to just walk through a lot of this. It wasn't so much of a disagreement with the mechanics, more just the feeling I wanted. It's a real like Doom to Doom Eternal type of change. Yes, it is. And it's funny you mentioned that some of the team members on Doom were on Space Marine 2, so it kind of makes sense. There you go. Yes. There you go. And yeah, and then just today and last night I've been playing something called UFO 50, which is it's an indie game. I think 3 sort of indie superstars worked on. One of them I think is the person who made Spelunky. And so the premise of the game is like, you've found this old console and and there's 50 games you've forgotten about. So they've made 50 completely different small little games, and they have their own like little lore and when they came out, and it's the perfect sort of representation of like, say you went to a family member's house and they just have like a weird stack of games in the basement, and you're just sitting down there like exploring these all. It's that. So there's 50 unique, interesting little games, and they all, you know, have their lore, and they all UFO 50. Yeah, it's
we're looking at it on screen right now. That's cool.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's really fun. Yeah, highly recommend.
Excellent. It's funny you bring this to the congregation, because I have an oddity that I've been playing this week that's similar to something like this. It's kind of cool. Awesome. That's great. So this is what's been keeping you busy this week.
Yeah, it has. Yeah,
excellent.
Yeah, super interesting.
Excellent. Very cool. I will have to put this one on the list. UFO 50. Okay, I'll put it on the Steam list here. As for me, and I'll let you jump in, Mr. Everborn Saga. As for me, I have been playing a very weird game. I was playing It's Only Money. I played it this week. I've played that demo multiple times. I actually need to buy it. I have played that demo multiple times at this point. So I will. You have a sale from me, sir. But
appreciate it.
I was listening to a podcast while driving on the way to work, right? And somebody was talking about this game, and they were like, people are talking about Game of the Year, and I'm just like, this Game of the Year stuff. Everybody's always talking about the Game of the Year, and this is a free game on itch.io, and it's a free game. So I'm like, well, why not give it a shot? People are talking about Game of the Year, which is absolutely ridiculous in my humble opinion. But at least I'll give it a shot so I can know what we're talking about, because it's probably something unique that most people aren't aware of, and I like talking about indie small projects that people aren't aware of. Right? One developer made this game. The game is called Shy Guy Surfing. Now, I ended up streaming this on Friday on this channel for about 30 minutes. It's called Shy Guy Surfing. And yes, it's that Shy Guy. It's Nintendo's Shy Guy. And yes, he's surfing. And what's he surfing? He's surfing on a magic carpet that kind of looks like Aladdin. Okay? And here's why it's interesting. The game starts very much, as you can see, it's like it's an amalgamation of assets from all the games of yore, if you will. Okay? And I suspect it's free 99 because I don't think he's going to get away with selling this thing. The ninjas will come after him. The Nintendo ninjas will descend and come after him.
I feel like you're kind of making the block hot. I just want to say that.
No. I actually believe it or not. Believe it or not, I actually reached out to them on Discord and said, "Hey, what do you think about people knowing about your game or talking about it or putting it or streaming it?" And they were like, "Yeah, go ahead and do that." Okay. I specifically asked permission. Yes, but yes, needless to say, this game. The game mechanics is Flappy Bird, if you will, right? And all the while, there's cool, interesting, like old school music in the background. I'm talking about pick your awesome like 90s game, not just Nintendo. I think I played a bunch of Sonic music, lots of different songs, right? And if you're looking through here, you'll notice that these are assets from various different games. You get power-ups from Sonic games, so you can get like the electric shield, you can get the bubble shield, right? And your idea is to just survive through the level. At the bottom, you'll see that there's a distance you have to travel. And it gets more and more complicated as it goes along. After this one comes boss fights. It becomes a boss rush game, right? And who are the bosses? I will leave you to discover those bosses on your own, because that is hilariously interesting. Like, oh, you remember this boss from this game or that boss from that game, and it's not like they've done the derivative work of just taking the asset and just putting it in the game. No, they've taken the asset and they've modified the asset for this game's purpose, right? So you may not have seen that boss do what he does in this game, but it's him, and he's doing completely different things for this game. It's almost like they rebuilt him for this game. It's very addicting, very fascinating. I can't believe that these things are allowed to live, and they may not be allowed to live. Forgive me. But while it's here, I think more people should try it. And it's on itch.io, so you can literally just go download the binaries and just keep it on your machine. It doesn't support keys. It doesn't have native controller support. So if you're using a ROG Ally, for example, this is where you go into your profiles and you go, the space button is the A button, this button is the, and you turn WASD into your D-pad and you're playing. That's literally what I did here. It's really easy to get into. It's free 99. And while I won't say that it's game of the year, I see why people love it. It's very good. And it's very, very difficult. You want to hear me swear and like complain for like 45 minutes? Watch my gameplay. I streamed it online. But yes, I think more people should discover itch.io. You know, weird projects, people who just finished school, people who just want to put something out there, people who are just trying it out to see how they feel, you know, if this game development thing works for them. A lot of those projects end up on itch.io. They just want you to try it. This feels like more of that kind of energy, but it's really good. Like, it's unusually good. Every time you die, the level generates. It's a randomly generated level, so there's always challenge. There's collectibles to collect. It's Shy Guy surfing, but as you can see, I'm a Koopa, right? You can collect. You can collect skins. So you could be Mario, you could be Luigi, you could be Sonic, you could be a whole bunch of different things because the collectibles are in the world to collect. And it's just quickly, you know, how long can you go? How far can you last? And at the end, there's a boss fight. And the boss fights get more and more interesting and more complicated as they go. I was playing this on the stream, and somebody called it the Souls-like of Mario games, and I completely agree with that because it gets devious in its difficulty. But there you go. So I was playing this. There you go, Mr. Everborn Saga, sir. How about you? What games have been keeping you busy this week? I know you've been a busy man.
Yeah. So, where to start? Okay. So Space Marine 2, I've been playing that.
Yep.
Really digging that. It is a throwback to the 360 days in all the best ways. And the game itself, it is while it is very cinematic, you know, it's also, you know, it knows it's a video game. It knows what it wants to be. And I love that it's sort of picked an audience to talk to and just kind of honed in on that. Because usually when you see these big AAA games, you know, they have such a large budget that they have to try to talk to everyone and then they end up talking to nobody. This one is like, hey, you know, you want this sort of Zack Snyder dystopian, like
space Nazis. That's what they are.
Yeah,
space Nazis.
Yeah, you want that kind of energy, this is all for you, right? You can go and play other games that are 4 quadrant. This is one quadrant, but they're hyper focusing on it.
It's a good quadrant. It's really good.
Yeah. Like, so I love this idea whenever any game knows exactly what they're trying to do, and they hyper focus on that. So very excited about that. And it is sort of, and again, my whole idea was, you know, Gears of War should have classes. You should have like a speed sort of melee class. You should have a you know, the typical lumbering sort of cover support shooter guy. You should have a healer and then do it that way, do it in an open world. But this, it is not doing what I suggested, but evolving it in a whole different way. How there's a little bit of Doom Eternal in there with the glory kills. There's the melee aspect of it, the whole parry and dodge system, playing against the when it's time to go ranged versus meleeing. It's all very well done. I love the tone of it. And it's not one of these sort of semi-open world whatever's. You jump in, you play a mission. The way I've been able to do it, I got about an hour every night before bed where I try to, you know, donate to gaming. You can just jump in, do a mission on this, you're out. They actually allow you to pause it. You know who I'm looking at. But yeah, you can. We
have a pet peeve around here: unpausable games. We're not happy with that. We need games to be pausable, especially if it's not a game that's meant for, you know, live service or whatnot. If it's a single player game, I can play single player. Damn it, you better make me be able to pause it. That's not cool. You know?
Yeah. So yeah, I've been playing this, and then last night, believe it or not, I was playing Sonic Frontiers. I played that game and beat it on the Xbox, but I wanted to get it on Steam because Sega was having this big sale. So I figured $20, let me add it to this new collection. What's weird, and I didn't know this, so if you look at it, it says that it is Steam Deck verified, but also that it uses de novo, or I don't know how to pronounce this. How does that work? Yeah, I thought that de novo doesn't work with
no. So de novo is not necessarily an anti-cheat. It is, but it's an anti-DRM. It's a DRM is what it is.
Okay.
It's not necessarily about you can't cheat. It does some of that too, but de novo is more geared to not
I understand
multiplayer online parts, but more to cheating in a single player context. And your camera just died.
Of course it did. Of course,
yes,
this is the thing we deal with. But my question is, I was always under the impression that software, if that's involved,
never works. Yeah,
it doesn't work on with
I thought that it was more an online, in the online context is where it more has a problem with Linux, right?
Okay,
if
so,
it's a single player
seeing that doesn't mean you can't play the game, is what you're saying.
True, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of games that I just didn't buy because it had that label, but I was like, how does this have the Steam Deck verified label and also use? So this is new to me. I just learned that.
If it's like Destiny, don't even think about it. That won't work.
Right.
But the ones that are single player in nature, there are many single player games that have those de novo, which, let's be honest, they really shouldn't. But hey, it is what it is. But yeah, those will work.
Okay, so it does work, so that's good. Also, by the way, able to get 60 frames on that.
It's been a minute. They've been working on that in the background. They've been patch updating that for a while. It didn't start out great, but now it's
it was notoriously bad for performance wise. But so tried that for a little bit, but then Plucky Squire is another one. Now, you talked about that last week, but
I did.
I'm too early in it to tell, but the game to tell where it's gonna rank in terms of any of these conversations. By the way, I just have this thing. It really bothers me that every week there's a new game of the year for people. Like you can't consider anything game of the year until you sit back and see how it lives in your memory.
Let it breathe for a while. Yes,
talking about but there's missing the forest for the trees, and there's recency bias going on. So again, I won't make any claims to any of these things because I haven't finished the ones that I'm talking about here, but I really like what they're doing with Plucky Squire. Although I hear later on, as you progress, they take a lot of control away from you and they kind of lean on the nostalgia and charm as opposed to the core gameplay loop.
So I'll tell you that
that's the case yet.
Yeah, at some point, what they do is because the story gets to a certain place, they then expect you to rekindle that fire by getting all your stuff back, right? And it made sense, but it led to pacing issues. It led to small, certain pacing issues. But I will say, Aaren, because you like me are who like to play games through their children's eyes, Plucky Squire is reference. It's required playing for you and your kid. Right, it's like my kids watch the movie Trolls now. Have you heard? You've seen Trolls?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And all it is basically reminding them of old music, but it's in a new format. So they go, "Oh my god, I love this song!" And I'm hearing my kids sing things from the '80s when they were born in the 2000s. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right.
Plucky Squire attempts to do that with video games, where they dole out old systems, specifically. You can literally say, oh, this is from this game, this is from that game, but it's all in this new frame and it's in a child storybook way. So you're just so my kid will come to me and go, look, I beat him. And I look at it and it's basically Punch Out. It's literally Punch Out.
Oh, wow. Right? Okay.
But he doesn't know that. He just knows he just beat the raccoon guy. Yeah. And they keep using really cool references from historical games that we all know and love. I mean, there's Dr. Mario in there. There's Bubble Bobbles in there. Like, there's a lot in there. So yes, I love that game for that purpose.
That is a great elevator pitch for this thing, because I had seen it. I saw it was a Devolver game. I'm like, okay, yes. There's a certain
you got me right.
Seal
Devolver.
of quality. Yeah.
There you go.
I didn't know it did that. So I've wrote that down. I'm definitely gonna grab that.
That's the unfortunate nature of that game. You don't want to spoil the surprise because that's part of the fun, but people should know what it does. Like, it does a lot. Amazing. There's a lot of historical. It's a gaming museum in the best way possible. It's really good.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah. So no, I'm happy you played it, Everborn. I would love to once you had the late game, because there's like a twist in the story that changes everything that I thought also was super interesting. Like, once you hit to that twist, we should have another conversation about it. I want to hear what you think.
Here's the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, first world problems, whatever. But
too many games.
Too many goddamn games. Like, how much? Like, I am still on chapter 2 of Black Myth Wukong, and then I get slapped in the face with Space Marine 2, and then this Plucky Squire thing comes out. Like,
Plucky Squire is short. I will say it's short. You could play that.
Listen. Everything's short. But like, they're all. You know what else is short? The
hours life,
of day in the day that I have available.
So is life. I understand.
I like right now. If all game releases stopped for the rest of the year, I would not be able to get to my 2024 backlog. Forget about the 2023 and beyond. But just the 2024 backlog, I can't get to by December 31st. And then there are more things coming. I don't know about
you guys. Do you guys have choice paralysis these days, where you're like, you have a legacy collection of stuff, and you have Steam, and you have Game Pass and Plus and whatever else, and sometimes I'm like, I'm going to play something tonight, and I look and I observe the choice. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to sit here and just stare at
just scroll at all the various options.
My wife and I have a tradition on Friday night. It was movie night, but now most Friday nights we spend that 2 hours that we would have spent watching a movie looking for something to watch, and then we go to bed.
Yeah. Yep. It's that.
So it's
what you should be doing is you should be getting recommendations before Friday night, because if you wait till Friday night to find your movie, you're too late. Now you're gonna be scrolling for 2 hours.
And it's happening with games right now. This is why, like, I see people getting upset about games that getting delayed or whatever, and I'm like,
I say thank you. I say thank you.
Like, push,
because I'll play it eventually
next year. Also, if you wait, right? So, for example, I did not I'm very excited to play Star Wars Outlaws, but I hear that people have had some issues with the intro and the stealth mechanics, and they're gonna remake that. Why should I play that until the game is where people are happy with it, right? Every time I've come to a game 6 months, a year later, and it's just in that perfect shape, right? And it's cheap. It's usually cheaper by then. So I talked about that 2D Metroidvania game, Soldiers. That game came out in 2022, and it got middling reviews. But if you play it now, because the dev team stuck with it, it's amazing. I'd call it like a perfect game, but that's my taste or whatever. And so maybe it's a good thing that I didn't know about it in 2022 and I play it now. And if Star Wars Outlaws is going to get updated, I'll get it when it's cheaper and when it's the true vision that the developers wanted. Even Jedi Survivor is now, it has all these updates and it's running great on this on lesser hardware. And then you come to the new update for Dragon's Dogma, and they fixed a lot of performance issues, even such that it can almost be playable on handhelds. Not quite.
It's interesting and indicative of where games are at, where, like, obviously the thing we're making is claimed early access, which means, you can expect a certain amount of updates, but every game, in a sense, these days has that expectation of this will be improved later. And everything you say about these games is true of ours too. Like ours, at some point, got a whole new intro mission because we're like, hey, people are struggling with this particular concept or something. And so I find myself in the same position as you, where there's particular games where no, I need to get in day one. Like we're launching around the same time. I think Dragon Ball Sparking is. I'm definitely there day one. I'm not waiting for that. But Star Wars Outlaws, in particular, I have the exact same experience as you, where I'm like, you know what? By the time I get to this, it's going to be a lot better than it was, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'll find a weekend one day where I have nothing going on, and I'll grab it then. Yeah.
And it'll be on sale on Steam by then.
Yeah, that works too.
Are you sure about that? UB has been notorious about keeping the games off of Steam.
No, I hear you,
Sure.
but like if you look at my current game of the year, Prince of Persia, Lost Crown, they just
that's not on Steam, right?
Steam. No, it's on.
Oh,
Steam
they did.
Now.
Oh,
And it's on Steam at the price it should have launched at, which is $30.
Okay.
And it has
what was it, 50
all
or 40 when it first came out?
It was. Okay. I think it was $50.
See, I just subscribed to UB Plus when it came out, so that's what I do. If you give me reason to sign up to your sub service, that's why I do.
Because once I sign up to a service, I usually don't cancel. I think I'm still paying for Peacock, right?
You're one of those people. Plus. No.
Yeah,
I am notorious. If I have look around and I have not touched your service in say 30 days, you out. That's it.
I'm like usually set it and forget it, and so I signed up to Paramount Plus for the Halo show. That's canceled now. I mean, Paramount Plus is probably canceled, but they're still charging me. So,
stop it.
What are you gonna do? What was the other? There was one other game. I mean, we can move on. I'll bring it up if I remember it. But yeah, man, there's so much happening right now. But right now, I think the one that I'm gonna stick with. This is another my style. Like when I finish a game, I will graze a bunch of games till I find the one I want to stick with, and then like that. I can't play more than one game at a time. It's only because I'm early in these games where I'm trying this one, trying that one. But I'll pick one, stick with it, and then move to the next one. By the way, Dr. Dryrub asked if we finished Soldiers. He says he's stuck. I am on the final boss for Soldiers, and he has like 5 different stages, and I've only been able to get through the first 3 stages. So he keeps killing me, but I'm gonna get him. So I'm not stuck. I'm just like trying to fight that boss. Like everything's done in the game, just that last boss.
So I will tell you, I haven't finished it. I'm about 75% of the way through the game, and I am completely different than Mr. Everborn Saga. I'm what is known as a grazer, so I'm always playing 5-6 different games at the same time, depending on the mood. I treat games like alcohol. Sometimes you want a beer, other times you want some wine. It is what it is. And then of course I make the mistake of opening Game Pass, which I just did, and saw Wargroove 2 is now available, as is Frostpunk 2. I'm just like, no, more for the list. It is what it is.
Are you into those kind of Frostpunk kind of games? These city management?
I like Frostpunk. I liked Frostpunk because it had a really interesting story. Right? It's not just about the city management stuff. It's about the world they built around the Frostpunk idea and the moroseness and all of that. That drove further home to me than just the city building aspects of it.
Oh, BT Maverick says Prince of Persia just came out with a story DLC for $5. I might have to check that out.
There you go. You see, here's the it's too many games thing we're living in. But okay. So first and foremost, thank you guys all so much for being here. I know I say it too much on this show, but I appreciate you guys so much. All the subscribers, all the members, all the people that join us every weekend when we do this show. There's I think we have over 200 some odd people watching right now from various platforms.
How many likes do we have, sir? Can we get
please hit the like button if you haven't done so. That's right.
And consider.
Thank you guys so much. Yep.
Consider if you feel like subscribing to the channel.
There you go.
If you're not already subscribed, and then we have memberships as well, and you can join from the different tiers. Also, check out the Discord. These are the things that we should say every 30 minutes, I think, just to call to action and stuff. And last but not least, please check out the Everborn Kickstarter right now, which is 73% funded.
Actually, you know what? I will actually ask you, and we're going to take a quick break. These are our commercials, people. We'll take a quick break and ask you to tell people about the Everborn Saga Kickstarter.
Yeah. So this is our latest Kickstarter. This is our third one, third time's the charm. We have done 2 before. Both were chosen as Kickstarter projects we love. Both were successfully funded multiple times over. And this is the 7th chapter. We released our first book in 2019, and this is now the 7th installment in our story. We tell this story. It's an epic fantasy that is X-Men meets Lord of the Rings. It is one story, 2 timelines, and 3 different series telling the story from a different character's vantage point. There's crossover between them, so you got a little sort of MCU action going on. And we are also going to be at Comic-Con this year, and anyone that is going to be in the New York Comic-Con area can come and meet us and get their pledge signed, and you can pick up your pledge. This is another thing about this campaign. The book is already done. It is with the printers as we speak, so there's no risk in supporting the campaign. The campaign ends in October. We will be shipping out the pledges in the same month. And again, you can look at the quality we've got on offer here. I keep saying this, we try to put it against the majors. And also, if you'd like, we can make you a character in the series, people that back this campaign, because it's all about you guys. We will put you in the books. And there's also a whole lot of merch. That shirt I'm wearing right now, in the video, there is one that you can get. It is made by Adidas. It is an custom Everborn shirt inspired by Berserk. And there's a ton of other add-ons that you can get, as well as 2 variant covers, which we just launched as add-ons. So if you supported the campaign, please check out those, because we're only doing a limited run for these. So if you there's basically only 50 of those variant covers. So once they're gone, and they'll never be printed again. So if you haven't backed the campaign, check out those exclusive covers. If you have backed the campaign, please check out adding those variant covers on. If you scroll back up a little bit, I want to show people something. So this is a member of the, no, whoa. Show
you mean
yeah.
Pixel? Okay, right here.
Oh,
there we go.
So again, we have 2 tiers. There's the Everborn tier and the Immortal tier. And if you support those tiers, we will put you as a character in a future chapter of the book. And it's not just a walk-on. You can see what we did here. And again, we've been doing this for 5 years now. We're 7 chapters in, and anyone who's been supporting us knows that you can see in this image here, the quality level has sort of quadrupled. And I mean, that's everything. That's from the paper choice that we use, the lines, the colors, the ink that we use to print the book. So this is probably the highest quality thing we've ever done. And we're releasing as well, for the first time, the hardcover edition of one of our other series, Prince of Arcadia, which has a bunch of bonus content in it. So you might have Prince of Arcadia Ultimate Edition Book 2, but you don't have the hardcover, and not with this bonus content. So also please consider checking that out, because that's launching as a part of this campaign as well. So we got 290 people here. Check it out. And like I said, even if you just want a free comic, go to Kickstarter. If you could put the link in the chat, but go to Kickstarter if you're listening to this on audio, and just type in Everborn, you'll get us. If you scroll down, you'll see a link to Ariel's Adventure Chapter 1. This is Ariel's Adventure Chapter 2. And check it out so you can sort of get up to date, at least on Ariel's story. But this is sort of the and I know it's been a while since our last campaign. This is almost the relaunch of what we're doing. So there's a lot of stuff happening from here. We're about to launch the everbornsaga.com 2.0 website. That's going to be probably this week. We're going into Comic-Con, and then we have a new book after this one that is already in production. That's the Redlands Chapter 2. Plus, we're launching a new series. We've got the novel coming, and the It's.io thing you talked about. I told you that we're working on the porting the Ariel's World, this all started as a video game, by the way. But we're working on the port of that old Windows Phone game to put it on iOS and Android, and maybe we'll get it on It's.io.
Yeah, there you go.
And everything going. So
excellent.
Yeah, check the campaign out. It's really...
And real quick about those who are about that indie life. Check the team, man. They're worldwide. Check the team. You got your Stephen A.M. Johnson from New York, the Everborn Saga himself, right? You got contributors from the Philippines. You got contributors from Virginia, U.S. You got contributors from the U.K. You got they're all over the place, and it's a small team doing big work. We like to support our devs here. We like to support our small promoters, small creators doing big things. So yeah, I hope more people get a chance to back the campaign. More people get to check it out, see what it's about. I have a feeling you would like the quality. As I've already said, my kids and I tend to do most things together. This is the Ariel's Adventure Chapter 1 is what I read to them, and now they're excited for Chapter 2 when it's coming. So yes, it's something that you would I suspect you too would like to read with your kids. It's fun. So yes, I think that's that. Thank you so much, Mr. Everborn Saga. We'll get into some news stories. Before we do, I want to once again thank you all for being here. I see a lot of folks in the chat that show up and make our shows very entertaining. Thank you so much for being here. By the way, if you have any questions for Aaren, for our developer that has joined us, please put them in the chat. Notate them questions, and I'll make sure I catch them, and I will ask as we go along. But we're going to continue this thing as we normally do, which is talk about some of the games and some of the news stories that have kind of popped up that we think is somewhat interesting and deserves a chat. And I know, Everborn, you want to talk about that Bloomberg article. I think we'll save that one to the end. Okay, let's start a little quickly. Speaking this morning, you already talked about the ninjas. It looks like the ninjas are working overtime, because Nintendo is now thinking of going after Pocket Pair. Now, sir, I know you were talking with me about this a little, I think when we first heard the story at Mr. Everborn Saga. I would really like to know what their reasoning is for this, because, we all saw it and we initially assumed, because it looks like Pokemon. But I don't think that's as simple as all that, right? Like you were saying there was more to it, right, sir?
Yeah, so a lot of people, there was a lot of talk when Palworld first came out. Oh, it's cribbing from Nintendo. It's stealing this and that. And when people saw this lawsuit, they said, "Oh, look, the bill has come due. You stole it from it's Pokemon with guns." But that is not. First of all, the Pokemon designs themselves could be argued that they came from Square. If you look at Dragon Quest, that's thing one. Thing two is, Nintendo is notoriously litigious, and they have a long history of sort of going after like either independent companies or small companies. I'd just be interested to see them try this with a Capcom and a Monster Hunter or whatever, but we'll come to that. But it turns out that they are suing not over the character designs, but over a specific game mechanic. And this is a patent that they were awarded in Japan in 2021, which was throwing a ball to catch a monster and then using a monster.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's
interesting.
That is what they are alleging here.
Yeah.
So it's not the character designs, it's a specific game mechanic.
So in other words, if Pocket Pair threw a box to catch a monster, it'd be different. It's the fact that it's a ball.
But again, I don't think that's something that should be patentable. But again, this is a patent that was awarded in Japan. So I don't know how their patent laws work. But it does remind me of,
it's kind of like that Apple swipe to unlock patent, right? Like nobody can swipe to unlock anymore because they made it. You know, kind of. It's very odd, you know.
But again, like, or you know, with WB Games and the Nemesis system and things like that.
There you go. Yeah.
But again, this to me is like From Software suing everyone that made a Souls-like, right? Like I think there are certain things that are universal, and you should not be able to like what if Nintendo tried to sue someone because they made a game where a 2D game where someone jumped on a character's head to kill them, right? Like that's what this feels like, and I really don't. It doesn't sit well with me because again, we want to see more Pocket Pair stories, right? They started as a 6-person team. They made hundreds of millions of dollars, and I'll say this as well. You know, this is not like going after Yuzu, where it's a just a small company like that. And I understand why they went after Yuzu. And Yuzu was getting a little brazen, so you know they
were flying too close to the sun,
right?
You know, that's right. Oh, did we lose him? Looks like we lost him. Oh, he's botting. He's stuck. See, the Nintendo ninjas were like, "What?" And they descended.
They got him.
Oh, they got him. He's done. We'll get him back.
We obviously read this in the office as well and noticed.
Yeah, what did you think?
It's a patent, you know, lawsuit as opposed to copyright. So, you know, again, the part that I noticed, like, and we've seen these examples, like Everborn was saying, you have WB in the Nemesis system.
Am I still going?
You're back. You're back. Okay. Yes. See, the ninjas put you on. They put you on timeout for a minute, real quick.
I don't know what happened. Nintendo is absolutely in the right. And I am totally not under duress.
Oh yeah, sure.
You know, we'll go with that.
But
you were saying, Aaren, Aaren, you were saying you read in the studio,
there's so many patent examples. Even the mini games during loading screens, Bandai had that locked up. That's something you know we couldn't do. And the part that I noted as curious to me was, I believe it's Nintendo at large as part of this lawsuit, not just the Pokemon company. And I can't help but feel Palworld, you know, like because of its success and because the common lexicon was Pokemon with guns, they're just going to throw the kitchen sink, even if it's not just one patent. If it's Nintendo at large, you know, they might have 40, 50 things that they'll just throw. And I mean, to Everborn's point, it's uncomfortable and it's worrying when these sorts of things get thrown around. But you know, obviously, that's about all I'll say. I don't want the ninjas coming here. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, we don't need the ninjas. No, you good. You're good. Absolutely, absolutely. Yes.
No,
I look forward to playing It's Only Money on Switch too. I'm just saying.
I love Nintendo.
That's right. Indeed.
Blink twice.
Stop it.
But what's disheartening about this again is the last Pokemon game was kind of universally, people didn't like it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're not evolving the Pokemon franchise, and then someone comes along, whether it's inspired by that or not. They're a small company. You would think Nintendo would embrace that and say, "Hey, now you did this. Now hold my beer because we're, you know, we'll do something better." But no, rather than trying to innovate that IP, they're just like, "Oh, you did something. We're gonna go after you." But again, I don't know if Pocket Pair will be as easy a takedown as some of these other people that they've gone after, right? And it's not just like the Yuzus of the world. It's not just the Pocket Pairs. They will go after small like content creators, right? That mention the wrong thing or show the wrong thing on their YouTube channels. And I'm just like, you know, I understand you guys are all smiles and cute characters, but these guys are
they're coming for you.
Something else.
Yeah,
right?
They're coming for you. That's right.
And so you know, I also think that, you know, I wonder, does Sony or Microsoft get involved here? Because, you know, Sony just opened a sort of
signed a
company with Pocket Pair to expand the IP into a transmedia thing. And they're already in bed with Microsoft with this game. It console wise, it's exclusively on the Xbox, and they're providing tech support, and they're using a lot of Microsoft's cloud services. So I think it's in both of those platform holders' best interest that something like Palworld can still sort of find success and not have to worry about these sort of incumbents sort of stifling whatever they're trying to do. So I saw this, and it just kind of made me realize these people who will sell you cardboard are the worst.
They're no joke, man. They're coming for you. Indeed.
I say that until I want to put one of my games on the Switch, and then you're gonna see me turn around. But while there are no Switch ports in development, now you hear the truth. So
yes. Speaking of
this,
Switch,
just didn't sit right with me.
I agree with you. I think by and large, although we here at GCP love Nintendo, by and large, this whole thing was a little bit. It didn't feel right. It felt a little icky, is what we'll say. Obviously, initial assumption was specifically the character models, but now it seems it's the gotta catch 'em all model that seems to be the reason. It'll be interesting what happens there. I'll pay close attention to what ultimately comes of this, because I hope that Pocket Pair fights them on this one and sees where it goes. But okay, let us move forward. And I want to talk a little bit more about Nintendo, because there was this rumor of the Switch 2, right? And they actually,
the media is covering rumors again. Interesting,
right?
Rumors and leaks are good now. But
let's not go down that path of slanderousness this morning, sir. Come on.
We have company. I'll
be nice. Be nice. That's right. We seem to be on this train where rumor and speculation are only covered from certain companies, not all companies. But that's neither here nor there. We'll move forward real quick. I am both excited and a little disappointed if this is true, as this being the rumored vision of what the Switch 2 will be like, or the Super Nintendo Switch. I will continue to call them until they change my mind, right? Although I think it's a safe choice. Oh God. What are you doing? Yeah, no,
please.
That's right. Exactly. So, Aaren, I guess I'll go to you first. I know you saw these specs and the rumored stuff, and how does this grab you? Is this exciting to you? What are you a Switch player? Are you a person who plays? Switch games?
Again, everything. And I've had the Switch since launch, and it was my son's primary console as he's progressed and grown up. My initial, you obviously hear talk of what various companies are doing with their hardware, and you get sort of briefs and what to expect. And so, technically it's
no
just
tea being spilt, right? Here. No tea being spilt.
Nothing.
This is just,
we ain't
just for information. Yes, continue.
We ain't that important, but you're around people who may be. And my initial impression is great. A stronger Switch, like the current one's a bit long in the tooth. I love playing it, but it's starting to show its age a bit. But there's a part of me that's like, I kind of, as much as the gimmicks can go wrong, i.e. Wii U, maybe that was necessary for the Switch to exist, but you kind of love when Nintendo tries something weird. You
see where I'm coming from. That's why I'm like, I'm both excited and a little disappointed. It feels like they're playing a little safe here, which they should, because it makes perfect business sense. The Wii to the Wii U was a learning lesson. I understand that. But like you, I'm just like, come on, Nintendo, rekindle some of that fire, right? Do something unique that makes people go, wow, this is what I want. You know what I mean? Like, and they've been notoriously good at that. So if this is true, which of course we don't know if it's true because it's still rumor and speculation, but if it is true, I'm a little disappointed that they played it safe. That's just me, That's me. Yeah. What do you think, Mr. Everborn Saga? What are your thoughts? Is this exciting to you? I know these days you're living that CEG life, man. What are your thoughts?
Well, listen. I might be CEG for the TV, but when it comes to handhelds, I'm all in. So I would I've said this offline. The only consoles I think going forward I'll ever buy will be handhelds. So I hope that PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox all have. Obviously, Nintendo will have
Make
one.
handhelds.
I hope that Xbox and PlayStation make proper handhelds, and that's the only way I'm jumping back into those waters. I love the idea, and I don't mind, multiple handhelds or whatever. You can pick one up for the way you're going. So I'm all for it. My only thing about this is, and again, you got to think about this like the Apple renders. Whenever there's a new iPhone coming out, you'll see the render, and then everyone's underwhelmed, and then they show the sizzle reel, and you're like, oh, that looks sexy. I'm gonna now spend $1,000 just to use the same 5 apps that I've already been using. But so I like this does not look exciting from these renders, but again, let's see the actual like product shots. And again, what interests me is what Nintendo will be able to do with, let's call it Xbox One or PS4 level hardware, because what they've been able to do, and I don't just mean punching above their weight, I mean using that tech to come up with new creative gaming mechanics, and what can that do aside from just prettier textures, right? And I think Nintendo, if history has showed us anything, they will, when they have that extra power, you'll see them
use it in a very interesting way,
ways that won't necessarily like translate to sort of just better graphics, but other things. And what does the console space look like? Because we're in this sort of, again, generations probably died.
Transitional period.
x86 or whatever, but like we're now in the world of min spec, and most games still support the 8th generation of consoles, which is PS4 and Xbox One. And if this will be at that level, can the Switch then, basically like, if the Switch is an option for third-party publishers, for modern AAA games, how does that change the gaming landscape? And do we think that the Switch 2 or Switch Pro or Super Switch or whatever,
the Super Nintendo Switch, I'm just saying, continue,
right? So if
SNES, Super Nintendo Switch,
right? So if that is what it's going to be, will the new games be backwards compatible as well as forwards compatible? So what does that mean? Is Nintendo just gonna, and this is what I suspect, I don't believe that the OG Switch and the Switch Lite and the Switch HD will go off of sale. I think this will just be a new model
alongside of them,
and that means the next Mario and Zelda games will probably still work on the old hardware, because they've got 150 million of those.
To your point, well, I don't know if that'll be the case with Switch, but it seems like console is particularly going that way anyway. I mean, obviously, when you put something on Xbox these days, you have maybe not a mandate, but a strong encouragement. Hey, here's our spec for Series S and X. Make it work on both. And it seems like Microsoft, ironically, has gone to this Apple method of, it's less about the box, it's more about, here's the model of phone that the customer chooses to play the game on and needs to run on all of them. And I think that's an interesting point with the Switch. And another observation I've had lately, and it's anecdotal, but it seems to be more and more common, and I'm talking with you two, and you share this too. It's like, just last week we had the PS5 Pro announcement, and it seemed like a lot of my friends are like, cool. The idea of a super powerful console that just lives with my TV is kind of feeling a bit washed now. And anecdotally, we're all opting into these weaker, what are essentially PCs, handheld PCs. We're all opting back into like less power for a new form and function. And ironically, Nintendo's kind of ahead of their time with this format, right? Like you could say with the PS and Game Boy.
Absolutely,
and, And I do kind of agree with the sentiment that the traditional idea of this console and these games are just for this console, this one console, it's starting to feel like irrelevant, and it's more just, do you have the nice phone or do you have the iPhone 4 still? And chances are we can, use the same apps here, just to varying degrees of quality. Yeah, so it's an interesting. I kind of agree with everyone.
I will say, this model that they have adopted, providing they're adopting this model, a Nintendo is not new, because I had a 3DS for a long time, and then I bought a new 3DS, which transitioned for a while, had games that were working on the 3DS and the new 3DS, and then every once in a while you'd get a game that only works on the new 3DS because it had a bit more oomph than the others could handle. So at some point they did cut off the older version, but it wasn't day one. It was somewhat down the line.
That's what I'm getting at. The next game will take advantage of the install base of what the 150 million that they have, and that's why I say we've now moved to the world of min spec. We've moved to the world of your library, going with you, and if your older hardware can't run this new thing for reasons, or maybe it won't run it day one, but if it's popular enough, we'll backport it. But when they have enough of the new one in the market, then they can stop supporting that. So I totally see that, but that that flies in the face of, I think, me wanting to see what Nintendo will do with that level of hardware if they're still going to have to design it with the OG Switch in mind. So that's a little bit less exciting, because Nintendo were sort of the last stalwarts that were like, we make some new hardware, we're going to show you why you need our game on this new hardware. But even then, I think
that method is leaving us, unfortunately. That idea is no longer as important to the vendors as it used to be.
Well, of course, and again, it's also not new for Nintendo when you really sit back and think about it, because some of the biggest games on the Switch were Wii U games that no one got.
Wii U games. That's right. I've been playing Mario Kart for ages at this point. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and Breath of the Wild was supposed to be like for the Wii U, right?
Yeah. Oh no, it was for the Wii U. There is a Wii U version of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude, Mario Kart 8 toys just came out to McDonald's here. Like, we're still like rocking Mario Kart 8. Like,
indeed. How much money will Mario Kart 8 have made after it's all said and done? Yes, sir.
Wait a minute. King David said he believes that's a fake.
Ooh, shout out to the king. That is an interesting swerve, sir. Yeah, man, we would love to have you on at some point, sir. It's been too long. That's an interesting take, though. What if this is all a swerve?
I hope that it is fake, because the design itself looks very uninspired.
This is my point. It's a little like if you look at it.
Oh, he says now. Can we get the man?
Oh, well, all right. Why not? I'll jump, sir. Say less. It's on its way. Don't worry. Looking at the images right now, you can see they did take the lessons of the kickstand is kind of crap. Right, because that was universally agreed to, that the kickstand needs to be better. So they definitely did do better there. It looks like the whole back is the kickstand now, right? Yeah, but besides that,
buttons look like they're for alien hands. But
there you go. Yeah, but you see, like, that's why I was thinking the same thing. It's kind of uninspired. They didn't go hard. They didn't try to innovate, because they've already gotten that. They've already hit that benchmark. So now it's just giving you more of the same, which, don't get me wrong, I know Switch people love it. It's going to continue to sell. It's going to be great. But I was hoping they'd do something a bit more major in this realm. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit more, So Everborn, actually, would you mind sending King David the link?
Yeah.
If you have the opportunity to, I'd appreciate that. And yes, as we were talking about Nintendo, and when King David joins us, we'll readdress. But let's move. We seem to be talking about all the various vendors of the gaming industry this time. So we started with Nintendo. We had a couple stories there. Let's move on to PlayStation and have a couple stories there, and then we'll end with Xbox. So This was an interesting.
Actually, I'm gonna need your help on that, or ping me the link in the private chat, and then I'll email it.
Sure, absolutely. I'll put it in the private chat right now. There you go. That is the private chat. That is the link for getting into StreamYard. So moving on to PlayStation real quick. It looks like they are remastering Horizon Zero Dawn. Aaren, have you played Horizon? Either Zero Dawn or Forbidden West? And
I just finished the first one about 2 months ago.
Did you hate it as much as other people did? Because I think those games are great. I love those games. I'm a minority within a minority when it comes to that. Because my boys about in the community call it Horizon Forbidden Sleep because they say it's boring. But what are your thoughts, sir?
I'm kind of in the middle. Like it's not my favorite Sony thing ever, but I also I don't see a reason to hate it. I thought it was beautiful, and it was a PS4 game, in the way that I played it. And clearly there's art assets there that could look a lot nicer with more resolution and power behind it. But I mean, I guess my reaction is like, cool. Y'all are
we shall see. Right?
we're remastering everything. Cool.
Yeah, that is the question, right? And I kind of want you to give me your take on that. There are people who either think it's great because that means that now more people get to play a game that you may have not experienced, and now you get to experience it the best way, which is a good take. But then there are those who go, "What the hell, man? This thing is like, what is it? Barely 10 years old." Yeah. There are many other games that could earn that remaster treatment. Why not them? Where do you fall?
Yeah, no, there's definitely the short list of stuff you wish would be remastered. I mean, Bloodborne's the obvious one, right? Like everyone.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And it feels weird when it's games that are inherently playable. Like if you're subscribed to PS Plus, you could just play this, and it looks great. And because it was developed in the era of a PS4 Pro, you do have the checkerboard 4K and all the rest of that. It's tough. You can't help but be cynical because, my partner and I, we watched the Last of Us show, and we're like, oh, maybe we should check that out again. And now I'm like, so we have the PS3 Last of Us, the PS4 Last of Us, and the PS5
Pro,
and then I'm like, what are we doing? Like, it kind of feels like the snake eating its own tail a little bit here. But
absolutely.
And cynically, they need product on shelves, and if you have a gap in your release calendar, sometimes you do this, and that's I can't get mad about it, but I'm also like, yeah, man, we've played this.
The word of the day is amortization. You gotta make the best of the catalog that you already have. If you got a new reason to sell this thing that you put all that money in, that they're waiting until they've got whatever they're cooking for this generation. Which again, Sony typically they start the generation, they they lean on their partners, and then in the back half of the generation they'll put their stuff out. So this is just like stalling for time. And and it's not just this. There's also the Days Gone, which by the way is on sale for Steam
also
right
looks
now.
Like they're remastering.
Yeah. Well, I'll remaster it on the 4090. How about that?
So so real quick, we always appreciate it when this man joins us. Podcasting gaming royalty, King David. What's going on, sir?
Blessings, gentlemen. How are you guys today?
You. Excellent. Right. King David, meet Aaren, developer from the Usual Suspect Studios. It's great to have you here.
Good to meet you, bro. Today? Well, good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I was trolling through Twitter, and I saw you guys live, right? And I was like, that's something that I need to do. I need to be able to broadcast everywhere. And I said, let me give a shout out to my brothers and check out their stuff and see exactly what's going on. And I saw that you had the render of the Switch 2 up. Which I believe is an actual fake out.
You think it's a fake? Okay, speak on it, sir.
The reason why I think it's like to see exactly where the leaks is coming from, and is Nintendo. That's so out of character for Nintendo. Like every generation is a silo, is an isolated generation to move forward. Now I know this is a bit of a conundrum when we get to this part, because what they did was they merged their home console and their handheld market together to make one big market for themselves, which is genius because they were dominant when it came to handhelds. They were mid-so dominant when the PlayStation released when it came to household consoles. But before then, they were really dominant when they were fighting Sega. Now, if you take the logic that they had a successful console when they merged the two, and if they're going to keep that format going forward, I still believe that they were going to go for either a foldable console, like a Z, the Z. What is that?
The Z Fold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was talking to one of the engineers, and because I was skeptical on the design, and I said, "How many folds do we get till we get to a crease?" And he said, "Well, you're looking maybe at 1.5 million folds." So I said, "That's pretty durable." So that got me thinking, because I know initially I said that I thought that they would have some type of projection device inside the Switch. Could you imagine the Switch just sitting there on the table and you have the kickstand out and has like some projecting thing that you throw it on the wall? You can remove yourself from the television and that type of thing. You can do it on the go. You can do it anywhere. You can do it inside a tent. You can do it while you're camping. That thing, I think Nintendo will always want to innovate in a space that's different.
You're on mute, sir.
Oh, me? I muted myself?
No.
I'm sorry. I said Ayo.
He had to drop the Ayo real quick. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Oh, yeah. So I thought that that they will innovate in a space. The space is ripe for innovation, and and imitation follows as soon as they innovate. The magnetic strips to the Joy-Cons doesn't seem too much of a big leap for them, because Miyamoto's motto has always been they want to transform how you experience gaming. And if this is the case, if that is exactly what it is, that means that Miyamoto is no longer in charge. That means Miyamoto's formula and philosophies is no longer being implemented. Right. And that means it's a true changing of the guard over at Nintendo. And this is a sad day then, because no longer do we look at the innovators, the inspirers, the people that hold the pulse of the industry. No longer do we look at them for inspiration to innovate. Then they're just going to imitate what was successful. And if we get into that path of imitating what was successful, how long before they adopt the idea that AI is necessary to improve upon speed of game delivery, artwork? How long? Because I look at them as the last bastion, right? The last bastion of video game hope, ideas, innovation, and movement in the space to set us apart from the norm, right? What changes them from a graphics card developer that does the same thing with minor iterations to the same exact thing, and they it's like cell phone developers, those type of things. I look for Nintendo to actually change and transform, and that's not change, nor is it transformative. That is the same thing with
I agree with you.
Screen.
See, I agree with you, and I can see where you think it's more of it's a fake out, right. But the reason why I was more in the camp to look at it and go, that could be a potential, is because we do remember that the Switch was their saving grace, right? The Wii to Wii U was a bit of a cluster, right? So if you're thinking business wise, you would think the Switch saved them. The Switch became this phenomenal device that still to this very, very day sells. If it wasn't long in the tooth tech wise, people would still be selling. They'd still want to sell that. So wouldn't it not make business sense? And maybe this is a cynical view of it. Would it not make business sense to give the people more of what they want rather than innovating and fear of going back to that Wii U time? You know what I mean?
Well, let me answer that though, because
go ahead.
If that is what we're using as an analogy, the OG Wii was one of their highest sellers of all time.
True.
and they wanted to keep on with that, so they made a Wii U. So if we're asking them
which
to
then dropped,
a Switch U or a Switch 2, aren't we asking? Isn't that us asking for a Wii U, right?
So
and
Nintendo
that didn't really work out.
They have a really complicated relationship with developers, for example, where Xbox and PlayStation are kind of, for all intents and purposes, the same machine. So when I make a game for this, it's very easy for me to put it over here. And the Wii was this complicated thing where it did so well, but people only played Wii Sports on it. They didn't really go and buy anything else. Like, they tried to put Call of Duty 4 on there. They tried to do this and that, and people gave it support. But Nintendo always builds hardware. They try and sort of build hardware that is attainable for everybody, right? It's not like a premium price point compared to a PlayStation 5 Pro. And so part of that process is they look at screens, for example, that are being produced. As King David said, they may have looked at the fold screens and like, okay, if you guys are making these, can we get these for cheap? And can we make an interesting console with that? And they tend to start there, at least that's my understanding. And so that's why I was like inclined to think that this is probably true, because the larger screen and the battery and things have got cheaper to mass produce. And but I agree with King David's point there. It's like they are the last bastion of reintroducing fun. Yeah. Right. And it is a worrying place when you look at a new Nintendo thing and are like, oh, okay, that again.
It's the same as the old, only bigger. Yeah.
Let me give a little pushback on, you said that when they put out the Wii U, they was on the brink. The reason why I can't subscribe to that philosophy, because they had the DS, and the DS was exactly what they needed it to have. All right, if anybody remembers the 3DS when it first came out, it had had that stereoscopic 3D vision without using glasses. That was transformative and innovative in the space when 3D was using, because I was paying $250 per glasses. So it's 4 glasses that I bought in the house.
That's right.
The television, you brought all that stuff. It was powered. It was all that crazy stuff. And then it got cheaper when you were able to use regular 3D glasses. And then Nintendo said, we're going to remove the barrier of the 3D glasses because we did the Virtual Boy. See, Nintendo isn't afraid to try. It's not like the Switch is the Switch 2, and I don't believe that it's going to be called the Switch 2, because again, you're going into the space saying that Nintendo is going to just rest on whatever they built. I just,
you don't see it.
It has never been that. I've looked at every console. I've looked at when they had anybody remember the disc drive, the Nintendo disc drive, that you had a floppy disk that you put inside of it, right? They was the only ones that dared to do it, right?
Oh yeah.
And when they decided to talk to Sony, they only talked to Sony because they wanted the storage medium for the video games to put it on CD. And once they find out that the piracy aspect of it was too open, they decided to back off it, and they went with Philips. And when they went with Philips, that was a different change in how they produced their stuff. So the Philips CDI within itself was a weird device, and Nintendo still put out their disk drive, on their machine. They're not afraid to try. These are the ones that actually can put out a console that makes money day one, right?
So while King David talks about Nintendo not being afraid to try, I'll put this here and just let y'all see what they're not afraid to try. Keep going, sir.
So you see the level of innovation in every space. I had all these things. They did cardboard, people. You're talking about the people that put out cardboard, and it worked, because I did it in New York City at Play NYC, and I could not believe that the cardboard I throw out in the garbage that I take for granted, they did it and it worked. I was so skeptical.
We make fun of the cardboard Labo thing all the time, but I will tell you right now, in Amazon, there's a cart full of the Labo stuff, because I'm not trying to pay $80 for it, but the minute it's on discount, right? Oh, bro, it's still $80. The minute it's on discount, I am buying all that for my son because he needs to experience these things.
King, remember the glove?
Yes, the Power Glove.
Oh yeah, absolutely, right? Absolutely, yes.
And the Virtual Boy.
So I had the Virtual Boy. I was one of those dudes that brought the Virtual Boy with all the cartridges and stuff like that. And then during this generation that we're in right now, they put out for your Switch the race cars that you build the little cones on the floor, and you had.
I have those.
You see,
we play them all the time. The Mario Kart Live. Me and the kids, they're running around the house, VR, almost virtual, like you can see it on your screen and in your house. It's an experience. It's quite cool.
So this is what I don't want to believe. I don't want to believe that they're going to kill a child in me. Listen, guys, I'm this is me. This is me. You may see me as this big tough dude. This is me, right? And for me to accept that Nintendo is not going to give it the good college try to go and push the industry forward, because we need that push, especially when AI is pushing in the opposite direction, to remove innovation and to give it up to computers, to remove developers. I know you have to, Aaron, I know you have to be kind of shocked at the fact that EA came out and said they have 101 games in development and they're using AI to do this initiative and this push. And they're not the only ones that's going to do this. So to look over to Nintendo and say, and Nintendo told you that they will not be putting that into their games, you can say, well, good. At least I can make games, and I know where I can sell my games. I know where I can go so my games can be heard. The big two, I don't trust the big two. I don't trust them.
So before we continue, I know King comes and then all the money starts to pour in. So we got a bunch of super chats as soon as
yeah. Absolutely.
Let's read those real quick.
Let's go to the super chats real quick. Yes, absolutely. Yes, thank you. Legendary Yobi with a $20 super chat. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. He says, peace, love, life, brothers. Thank you for always showing us the way. You two gents are very important in this community. You two will be a fixture in this industry. Appreciate you both. Thanks for existing. Hashtag Everborn Saga and KSI. Sir, you make a black man blush. That's not easy to do. Thank you, man. Damn, that's awesome. Thank you. That is wonderful right there. We appreciate the kind words. Sith Lord, $2 super chat. He says, always great when King David shows up. Sir, on that I agree. 100%. Thank you, King David, for being here. The Great Sycamore in here with a $10 super chat. He says Nintendo is doing the right way. If Nintendo innovates too much, we will end up in a situation like Apple and Surface, where you hit a brick wall. Customers will not see reason to care to move up. That is an interesting take on it, though. Yeah. So they should just kind of dip a toe into innovation and then step back. Dip a toe in and then step back in order to keep you interested. Okay, that is a good thought of it. MJ Dark, member for 8 months. Thank you for being here. He says, shout out to Labo and the GOAT Nintendo, the true market leader. These guys are always here for that. Games are best on Switch, Kayasante. Also, shout out to God Jima and shout out to King David.
MJ Dark, you don't believe that yourself.
You know, come on now.
Write words just to write them.
And of course, the great John Wolf, who's been a member for 8 months, he says, 50th episode of the Gamers Playground this Monday. Absolutely, yes. Thank you. This will be a cheap plug. Myself and the great John Wolf do a more PC centric, handheld centric show. We will have episode 50 this Monday on this very channel. Shout out to you, good sir, for reminding me. Yes, come check out the Gamers Playground.
And I want to thank John Wolf for sending me a gift, and it was
wonderful.
amazing, and I use it almost every week.
Oh, fantastic. Hey, John, where's my gift, John? Huh? We've been doing 50 episodes. Where's my gift, John? No.
Hey, King, I don't know what the next topic is, but King, how long do we have you? Because I think fantastic. Because it is serendipitous that you showed up, because we are going to talk about.
We got some talk.
I don't think I've ever met Aaren before, and I just wanted to come in and show a developer love, and my brothers as well, because trust me, listen, I respect everybody in this space, and to get a developer on any level onto the show to talk gaming, somebody that's actually making games, somebody that knows the struggle, I'm here to support, and I'm here to support my brothers. So I'm down for everything. I was making video right now, so it's whatever. Let's go.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you very much.
We were transitioning onto PlayStation, because there are a few places we're trying to be touch each of the vendors today. We did a little bit of Nintendo. We're doing PlayStation, and then we'll end with Microsoft. We'll end it with Xbox. Okay.
Cool.
So, before we continue, JD right. also jumped in real quick. JD Gamer, $5 super chat. He says, side note and dev question: what are the chances that Microsoft ports Auto SR to Xbox Series? If/when they do, how much will it improve the look of games? Interesting. And then he finishes up and says, by the way, pathetic port pegging pony still got no games. Okay.
Shout out to JD Gamer. I think there's a 100% chance they will be porting that into whatever their next hardware is, because there's also, I believe, 100% chance that the next hardware will have what they call NPUs in it as a part of the architecture, and this is what allows that. And the way it works is something that they don't have to worry about whether developers will support or not, because you can turn it on at a system level. So it does, according to Digital Foundry. I have one of those Surface devices that uses it. And this is something that, unlike technologies like DLSS or the PISR or FSR, where the developer has to implement it manually, this works on top of that. So it takes the final image and then sort of, I don't want to say reconstructs it, but sort of upscales it. And it is to minimal latency. So it really shouldn't affect the feel of the games. But I definitely think it will be there. And I think right now it's only on those ARM devices, but that is only because the NVIDIAs and AMDs of the world have not, they have, but they haven't started shipping chips that can do the 40 tops or 45 tops that are required.
So,
maybe they have.
So everyone, to your point about that, right? Because 40-45 is the minimum amount of tops you need to have in order to make AI useful in any way in your implementation. I will quickly side note and say, AMD, same company that makes the chips, right, has also announced that they're now transitioning their FSR technology to be AI backed. So even in the situation of an 8840U, like a small chipset that has 10 tops, they're planning on using whatever NPU or tops backed hardware you have in the SoC to pump up and use that as an accelerator for their FSR and their AFMF.
So,
right? So there is a world where that does assist. Yeah.
But the thing about Auto SR is that it works. It can work on top of FSR.
On top of FSR, yeah. On top of all of it.
So it's not to say that you would compare the two, because you can turn on Auto SR after you've already turned on, one of the other
on DLSS or the other ones. Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I don't think we have to say that it's you're choosing one or the other. They can work in conjunction. So while it is post-processing, as Lucius Augustus says, and it might not be as good on a native image as the other options out there, that doesn't matter, because it can work in conjunction with those to give you a competent image, and that only helps, especially if we're going into the world of handhelds. I really think that what we're going to watch is we're no longer going to be chasing native 4K anymore, right? So we're going to see smaller hardware that, instead of sort of brute force computation, we're going to see a lot of leaning on rendering at lower resolutions that portable hardware can handle, and then using to upscale that.
Why? I just got a question. Why is everybody so down on the PlayStation 5 Pro? Because with the Alan Wake thing and the 840p internal resolution, they're targeting output of 1440p 60 frames per second. That's what the machine is made for, right? The machine is made to do exactly that. And I don't understand what's the outrage about it. At the end of the day, we are consumers, and what we care about is getting the best for less. Now, I understand it's coming in at a premium price tag. That has a lot to do with the losses they have taken in recent history, and the fact that it's just this next hardware going forward, because Everborn touched on it. all those hardwares will output at a lower resolution, bumped up by some type of APU or NPU inside the box in conjunction with the GPU and the CPU to get the resolution to something that is acceptable to the eye.
Mhm.
Our
Yeah.
naked eye cannot tell what is native and what is its super resolution or whatever.
Yeah.
What we want is crisp images moving at a fast pace. We've learned that this generation, if we have learned nothing else, that 60 frames per second is hard to attain with native resolutions. And we're asking these machines to do something that they cannot achieve. And they are afraid of being ousted by sites like Digital Foundry, where they take your game, put it on a calibrator, and they can actually see what resolution it is outputting at, and then break it down. And when guys hear something like, "Oh, it's at 800p," then it's an uproar, right? Like, did it not be a good game? Like, was I not playing games at 400p back in the days that was phenomenal, transformative to my soul? So
I agree with you. Yep.
What happened from there to now? And does that affect the indie developer who's making a game and his game is at what, 800p? This game is at 800p. I can't play that. What type of snob are you? Like, what happened here? Where are we?
I agree. So I agree that we should start transitioning from, instead of looking at what the sub resolution is, judge what's on the screen.
Yeah.
So right? It should even be applauded that their technology can take such a small bitrate image and blow it up to 4K, and you can't tell the difference. That should be applauded.
So what King David touched on, I like, that is the whole point, right?
Yeah.
That you can render something at a native low resolution, whether it's 720p, 800, doesn't matter. The point is final image quality is what we should all care. And by the way, in the real world, that is all we care about. Yep. It is only if you're using Digital Foundry to go and argue with someone that you care what the internal render resolution is. What you care about is how the game looks, and if it looks better, it looks better. End of story. So you know, but again, that's just Twitter not being a real place and people arguing about things that they can. Listen, even if a game dips below 60 every now and again, most people can't tell that.
Don't feel it. Yeah, most people can't feel it. These technology of TVs are able to smooth it out for you with VRR and all that. It's just talking points at this point. Let me get Yobi's super chat real quick, and then we'll move forward to the next story. $5 super chat from the legendary Yobi. He says, question: how does it make you all feel when folks talk recklessly saying devs are lazy? It makes my blood boil. You know what, Aaren? I'll let you deal with that one.
Exactly.
How much time we got? No, I mean, you know, for example, it's 4 o'clock in the morning right now. It's but I guess the simplest way to put it is like, I'm a person, like your father, like your mother, like your sons and your daughters. I'm doing my job the same way as the people who build the roads, and at least for anecdotally, the people I know, developers, we're in there like kind of a lot. Maybe, you know, it's not often that we have a typical 9 to 5 type of day. And in fact, like a couple of days after my children were born, I was back in going for it like straight away. And I think these comments, they kind of come from when a game doesn't deliver on what they wanted it to be, right? Like, it's like, oh, you could have simply done this, this, or this. Like, they have a list of ideas or a list of, and we're like, the one thing I'd just love to communicate is like, oftentimes we've thought of these ideas and agree with you. Like, that's we're not saying you're wrong, or we're not dismissing these ideas, but part of the process of developing a game is knowing what we can't do with the amount of time. And in the perfect world, we would love to do everything that was ever asked and live up to every ambition and every, you know, nobody sets out wanting to make a bad game ever. Yeah. I mean, maybe
I got a question for you, Aaren.
Yeah, man.
Have you ever had to deal with crunch, and can you talk about crunch if you've dealt with it? And because this is where I don't like the thought process of an individual saying a dev is lazy because they've never dealt with crunch. I've dealt with crunch in the form of a fast food restaurant where we had to deal with, it's called the rush, and it's a period of time where the phone never stops and you keep going and you're burning. And I know it's not the same, as far as the developer sitting there for 12 to 20 hours in crunch. But could you talk about crunch if you experienced it?
Yeah, for sure. Fortunately, like in our current team, we really haven't. Like that's just been a rule from the start. Is like if we miss something, so be it. Like health first, health is wealth, and everything. But certainly, we've been at teams where we went in when the sun was rising and then left when the sun like it's been pretty bad, and it does take a toll. Like sometimes you do it for the pride and the like, I really believe in this thing and I'm gonna stay here as long as it takes, and no one even told us to. And you just want to feel the rush of the emotion. It's almost like sleeping over with your boys, you all just want to see this thing through. But other times, like especially when you have family you love, like now I'm a father. I couldn't imagine anything more horrible than having to stay away from them, and it's something I don't want to opt into ever again. And it does hurt people, and then the next day they've got to wake up and go and do this
all over again.
It's just it's a horrible thing, and it sucks that it's so rife, and sometimes you understand why. Like there's so much money into these individual products now that just like and when you look at the ever escalating bar of quality, like a Grand Theft Auto or something, it's like you can only imagine the human sacrifice that's required to achieve that. And I think it is the same as the lunchtime rush, or I've worked in factories and picked fruit before. It's all the same emotion. It's like, man, when will this end? Like it's the same thing. It is.
Well, I mean, I got pulled into a production issue at work. I work in software development, but it's in the financial industry or whatever. And I was working last night till almost 1 a.m. trying to solve a problem, because something goes down in production. You got to get it fixed. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you had planned. It doesn't matter how much sleep you got the night before. It's down in production. It's affecting clients. You get it sorted. And so that's a thing that happens a lot in software development, but all over the place. Like the point is, like businesses don't stop because unfortunately, I'm not saying this as a praise or anything, but businesses tend to not stop because of people having human life problems. So we all deal with those things. But again, I do think there is this sense of entitlement about when we talk about lazy devs and this and that, because most people are not. Yeah, because here's the thing. I don't come to your job and tell you how to code or tell you how to fill out your TPS report or drive the bus that you drive or whatever it is that you do, right? I'm not you wouldn't like anyone coming to your job telling you what to do and how to do it and how you messed up. And that's not to say you can't give people constructive criticism about the product they release, because at the end of the day, you put something out in the world, you are now at the whims of the public's perception of it, and that is absolutely fine. But calling people like lazy that you've never met and don't know how to do what they do, like that's not constructive criticism. That's just you being an asshole, right? So
I often wonder, it's game development. It's kind of seen as an idealistic job. You imagine you're all sitting around and you're all talking about and playing things, and the truth is it's not that. I'm at a desk, I'm in front of a computer, and I'm oftentimes doing things I don't enjoy. And much like anyone, like it's a job. And I see in the comments, like, they're just because some aren't lazy doesn't mean that there isn't lazy devs out there. It's true. There are lazy individuals in our field, and there's lazy individuals in every field. It's everywhere.
Yes.
But when that criticism is levied, though, do you know who you're talking to when you say it? Do you know that you're actually talking to a lazy dev? or do you just say
Probably not.
lazy dev
Probably
as a
not.
catch-all?
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry,
yeah,
Aaren, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say one thing for my team is you can critique the product and you can say, I could have done a better job on this part, and maybe it's true. But one thing for sure is we're not lazy people. We're every day, every night, all the time, 4 a.m, like whenever you need it, we got it.
It is 4 a.m. where he is right now.
Yep.
So
You gotta respect that.
But
appreciate
yeah, like
that,
no, it's all good, and I appreciate the platform to be able to talk about that more candidly, because it can hurt, especially you've stayed up all night and you've made this update and everyone's like, oh, this sucks. I'm like,
what?
I could have just hung out at home and
exactly. I could have been a lazy dev.
Right. No, but because this is the thing. I think a lot of people don't realize this about game development, about television, about movies or whatever. You can have a group of people who are passionate, work really hard, believe in the project, put blood, sweat, tears, sleepless nights, and the final product comes out being terrible. And it doesn't mean
Everborn Saga. I appreciate, and I'm not gonna cut you. I'm gonna let you continue, but I appreciate you threading the needle so well for me, because the next topic is
Concord.
How much money did Concord lose? Continue.
No, but the fact of the matter is you can put everything into a thing and it just doesn't come together. So I think there must be a way to critique a thing and not be toxically positive while still not levying accusations against people for being lazy or not caring or it's a cash grab. Because I'll tell you a secret about any work for purchase. Everything is a cash grab.
Yeah.
Everyone making
trying to grab your cash.
They're trying to make money. That's the point, right? The Sistine Chapel was a cash grab. Go to the Vatican. They paid to have that done, and it was there for people to come and see it and donate money to the church. So again, let's get rid of that. And again, some things are uninspired. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we have to find a better lexicon and a better way to give criticism than to just say, oh, lazy devs.
Well, that's probably just for a lack of vocabulary.
True.
All right, so you're talking to somebody that, because I just don't want to use the word ignorant. I'm just going to say they have a lack of vocabulary, and if they haven't experienced life, because you got to think about it. A lot of the time, it's kids talking from a perspective of a child, and if you do have a petulant adult that feels entitled to something that they purchased, and they question the drive of the dev because they felt that they were entitled to something, opposed to them either just saying, well, you know what, I picked wrong in this game and let me give up on it. No, they probably really wanted the game to succeed and they wanted to put the blame on somebody else, and they probably never dealt with blame in their life. So I would just say that they're an ignorant person at this time, opposed to, just they're a child. And some of them are young, and then when they do experience life, they go back to the game and say, you know what?
Now I understand.
I understand. Right? Because they could fix one thing that breaks something else. I talk to devs all the time. And if I feel that something could have been better here, and I give my critique, because we get a chance to play a lot of games in early development. I give my critique and I say, well, if this could be done, right? And you can look at the time frame, because they, like you said, Aaren, is a time frame thing, because you have a producer that wants this out at a particular time, because once you go over time, you go over budget, you go over money, and that's a no-no, right? Because you got to meet a certain quota. So if it can be done at this time, fix this, because this is a priority that will help your game. And that's what they need. They need positive feedback on a product that they have that's in early development, so they can go in a different direction or a right direction to have a good, successful product. And that's what I feel that we as podcasters, as people that goes to these shows and talk to devs, because it's very important to have that rapport with the dev, to give information back to them. And I think that'll go a long way with the community and the devs and what we create together, but to get rid of the lazy dev stuff.
So and it wasn't, honestly, it wasn't my intention to stitch this together, but it stitches together quite well, which is, we saw a lot of effort put in, right, by the developers of Concord. and it lasted only X amount of days, and then they closed it down. And now the new development is we're finding out how much that really ended up costing PlayStation.
One thing,
north of $400 million. Go ahead, Everborn. Yeah.
In the chat, Lucius Augustus says they need negative feedback, not positive. I disagree, because then how do you know what works if you don't have positive feedback? Are both needed?
They need nuanced feedback. They need nuanced feedback.
Needed, but they need to know what works. They need to know why they're doing this. Yeah. Like, would you want to go to your job and just have a constant barrage of how you effed up? Right,
yeah,
that's not really going to produce
the
best work. So encouragement where it is good, and constructive criticism where
that's a toxic relationship.
There you go. Yes.
All right. So sorry. Continue. I just want.
No. Please. And while you're speaking, go ahead and speak on what your thoughts here. We speculated how much all of this would eventually the fallout as far as financially would be. Now there's talk that it's upwards of $400 million.
Now I do want to preface this with this is all sourcing from a single report.
A single report.
I can corroborate it.
You can. Okay.
Well, now we got two people.
Yeah, I can corroborate it.
There we go. Okay.
Because the thing is that I find is that what I'm watching with this is all the people who ran with everything that individual says now don't believe them, and all the people who hate what that guy says on a usual basis are running with this headline, and it's just people kind of falling into, I don't like this news, so therefore I don't believe the source, or I normally don't like this guy, but he's saying what I agree with, so I'm gonna run with this headline. and that is what I find interesting about it. That being said, the most interesting thing about this is 400 million is allegedly not inclusive of the purchase price of Firewalk, which is nuts.
It's crazy. That's a lot of money.
I was going to explain.
Go ahead, King.
Colin. All right, so I knew this information before then, and I was told not to say anything until Homeboy broke the news. Right. So when he breaks the news, then everybody can talk or whatever they know about it. Now, my direct source isn't, I guess, the source that he's talking about. When it came to it, I was told early on, because I was like, well, it costs X minus Z, and it was like, nah. He said you got to point upwards, and I was like, upwards? Like, what are you talking about upwards? It was like, I said, what, 300? That's crazy. It's more than Spider-Man. And he was like, bro, if I actually tell you the actual number is gonna pop your top. And he said this is the reason why they cut the cord quick. All right, so the video I'm putting out later is gonna have the new CEO, not Herman Holtz, the other guy. I think
not Hiroki Totoki, the other guy.
No, Hiroki Totoki is all right. So they have a pyramid thing going on, right? With Hiroki at the top.
The pyramid scheme. What are you saying?
Basically, same thing like Microsoft. You have Phil Dominus, Maximus Aurelius at the top, and you have Matt Booty and Sarah Bond at the bottom. And in this instance, they mirrored the same thing that Xbox did. They put Hiroki Totoki at the top, and Herman Holtz, and I'm sorry if I'm phasing on your name, the other CEO at the bottom. Now, in that whole thing, the singular CEO was talking about this was a tentpole title for PC. And in being a tentpole title for PC, this was going to push their games of a service initiative forward. Not Helldivers 2, but this game specifically. So when you get a chance to see the secret sector or whatever that is with Amazon, and it's putting there, you start to see the threads on how they were crafting this game around. When you saw the vignettes of all the animations, that cost a boatload of bread to do these vignettes, and they had it for each character going forward, kind of like Overwatch did, but Overwatch does it in a way that they make their money off of not play to win skins. Those skins is cosmetic, right? So all this stuff is cosmetic. They know they're going to bring their money in. That's a free-to-play thing. They have their own servers. They work that way. They have a business model, and it's set up really well. Sony doesn't have that same business model. And I think the flubbing of it was initially from the jump. And how do we deliver it to our core audience? Now, if your core audience is driven by single player story based games, what you should have did was put out short games showing the single player, showing the characters in their element, playing a mission. And those characters come together to do a free to play on your service and on PC game with monetization of skins, cosmetics, but they don't have servers, right? And they don't have the know-how or the belief in their service, their PlayStation
and
network.
they're backed by AWS, so the costs are
is astronomical, right? When they were with Azure, they were pretty much paying less, but to not allow Microsoft into that back end, they decided to split that relationship.
Go with AWS.
Go with AWS and get robbed for more. But regardless of what, the cost of this game is going to reverberate through their delivery system, because now you see them like a ship without a rudder, and they keep putting out remakes and remasters. This is not because of a lack of ingenuity, of a lack of creativity, where I myself have, well, I'm trolling when I'm doing that, have talked about. You notice I'm not trolling here, right, guys?
Of course,
because this is a highbrow show. And I have to bring my A game.
You give me too much credit, sir.
No. Well, listen, I'm trying to bring your game up too.
Okay,
Anyway,
there you go.
So what we see here is they have to take what they initially have and what they can turn around quickly. They can turn around these games quickly. They already have existing assets. What can we do to remake, remaster, put this up, get this out the door, to have a game to go along with the Pro or whatever, to mitigate costs because of the deficit that they have here. This is a huge deficit that eats into their bottom line. If they're looking at investors and investors want splits, you know that, Everborn, they're not going to get splits from this. They're not going to get any reinvestment. This is why all the games of service are canceled. If y'all looking at Fair Play and you're looking at Marathon, look at them with the side eye, because these games are on the brink. I think Herman Hulst is on the hook for this. And I think this is the reason why you haven't saw Herman Hulst. I think Herman Hulst right now is having meeting after meeting after briefing after briefing. And I think that the fact that they have two co-CEOs, one
and by
is
the way,
expendable.
real quick, that you said the other CEO is Hideki, what is it, Nishino?
Yeah, Nishino.
Yeah, Hideki Nishino. Yeah.
The reason why you didn't see Herman Hulst present the hardware, even though Nishino is in charge of hardware and delivery, is because I believe Herman Hulst is inside rooms having conversations, because he was the main proponent in pushing this game in particularly. And he went behind Jim's back, right? Because remember, Jim already had games of service already listed, and all these games that he had. Remember Factions and all that other stuff. That's Jim, guys. All right. Jim was already in the offices having conversations about the ABK deal that he was going to get done. Once that thing goes belly up and goes sour, Herman Hulst can actually come up behind him and get his game from Firework that he wants through, that he believes in, that this is going to be the next Star Wars, and push his game through. Jim says, I'm not taking this the same way he did Sean Layden. Herm did him. He's out. Herm's in. This game is pushed. This is the next Star Wars, and it flops super hard. You're in the office now. That's why you don't see this guy here. And I believe that's the dynamic. Now, I want you guys to take this with a grain of salt. And I don't want you to say King David has a source that said this, that, and the third. No, what King David did was actually read, like I suggest everyone do. But I really believe you're not seeing Herman Hulst, because I think he's on the hook for this. And I think this is at the tail end of it, is probably 600 to 700, close to 700 million in loss.
That is crazy. That is like, they lost me when they didn't have a campaign, and it cost $400 million and y'all had no campaign. Like, that is just a crazy loss. I'm sorry, Everborn, you were gonna say.
So you're saying you don't put this one on Mr. Dance Moves?
No,
but see, I the way I viewed this was as a part, like, yes, captain goes down with the ship, so Herman is in charge of this stuff now, so it's on him or whatever, because it was his decision to still release this thing. But sunk cost fallacy and all that. I have to wonder though, this is just one more feather in the cap of the idea that Jim was pushed out. When you look at how the Bungie acquisition turns out, and then you look at whatever the real number is here, right? Whether it's more or less than that, it's still the biggest loss on record for the company, right? Single loss, right? And again, Jim did preside over the acquisition, whether or not he, it was his brainchild, he okayed it. So you have to think, if you are the board of Sony and you're like, wait a minute, you've acquired this, that, and the third, you've pivoted hard into services, and this is what they've become. And the one thing in service wise that was a success was Helldivers, and that was the one you kind of put the least into. So where you spent the most money, it's not, the math is not mathing, and it just tells me this is why, on top of the display and the risk that they took in going against the ABK deal in the way that they did, where in hindsight it would have been smarter for them to just sign the deal,
the first deal,
and not have all their business in the streets like that, and not having to go and make a reactionary purchase of Bungie. Because think about it, if they had signed the 10-year deal, would they have needed to buy Bungie or Firewalk?
Yes.
Do you think so?
The reason why is they don't have expertise in games of service. They were looking for somebody to help in the expertise of games of a service. This is the problem that you're seeing with them right now. They don't have an expertise in a certain area. What they do is they go out and they go farm that information, right? They go buy a game. If they don't have a game for this period of time, what is a single player game that we can get, an action game that we can put in this category right here that's in the market right now? That's the reason why you saw Black Myth pretty cool. It was going to be announced for everybody else, and then boom, all of a sudden it's off the radar, right? Because why? We need this game. Let's go get this game. We're the market leader, perceivably wise, and we can bully into the spectrum. And we also have Sean Layden over there. Let's get this game here. Let's get Stellar Blade over here. The Stellar Blade was supposed to be another one. They're plug and playing now, and they're filling holes. And if you look at it, it mirrors what 360 was doing back in the days, until Phil realized that this is not sustainable. We have to change, because we're just burning money. We're throwing money away. And then you run into pitfalls like this. So they needed Bungie to oversee. Remember, when they purchased Bungie, Bungie's primary directive was to oversee all games of service and get them to market. All right, because they don't know the delivery system on how to do that. They don't know how to, they could tell you how to do a story-driven game. They could tell you how to do a Days Gone. They could tell you what looks good to the eye, what their consumer base wants, but they cannot tell you what a multiplayer, a game of service can do. They got Bungie. Bungie's supposed to overlook that. I think they put the wolf in charge of the hen house, because if you look at it, the only two games standing, and Helldivers is only successful because of the PC, to be honest with you. Concord fell flat. They saw this. They oversaw Concord. If you want to believe it or not, they were going in a room with the positive toxic positivity, saying, thumbs up, you're doing a great job, guys. And you think they sabotaged this thing? Yeah, they knew it. I think they cut factions. I think they cut the other two games. I think they cut and they went in there with the knife and cut everything else. And the only 2-3 games actually is left is Destiny, Marathon, and what is it that Fair Games. Those are all 3 of their games. That's true, because Fair Games is by developers that used to work at Bungie. If it fits, you can't acquit. You know who did it. Aaren, let's get you in on this. Quick question. I'm sure you are like us. You've been paying attention to all of this. What were your thoughts of this whole what transpired with Concord? Is it nothing to see here? Is there something necessarily like is this the canary in the coal mine? Are we expecting more in this world? What are your thoughts there?
I think you can expect more. Obviously, I don't know to this degree. This seems quite extreme and unfortunate. Yeah, it's the chase for live service was kind of an industry-wide mandate, like I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and I said earlier in the show, even our little single-player games are expected to be made this way. Just you're no longer fighting for $60. You're fighting for the attention. You're fighting to become a ritual of people's lives that they log into every day, and as King David says, you monetize it and you buy skins. Everyone wants to be Roblox or Fortnite, and they have wanted to be that for a while, and I'm not surprised that Sony or Microsoft and others are trying to carve their slice. Oh, shout out to you too, Aaron.
Yes, good buddy of mine, Aaren. Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't want to speculate. Obviously, at some point we'll have to work with PlayStation and everyone else.
Absolutely.
Don't answer none of this stuff.
None of that. You good.
That's
I'm
right.
a bystander.
That's right. Indeed.
It's a great job.
We all
sucks that it happened.
Yeah. No, we all read and we all talk, and the world is small. The truth is out there, and the truth is that a lot of people just didn't hit, and that sucks.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, absolutely. And what I like about especially what you were describing, what I like is that while we as consumers can make determinations and go, well, they didn't hit, they didn't give us what we wanted. Oh, but this is like, as you said, right? When you look at what's on display, some people will see either a failed project, others will see a great game that has a lot of complexity. You see like years of people's lives spent.
Yeah.
Years of nights and weekends and holidays and children being born and all of this that they poured into this thing, and for whatever reason it didn't work, and it's just so sad, right? It's just so unfortunate, it is what it is.
Yeah, and that just comes back to what my original point is. Like, it's one thing to say you put out a bad product, let's talk about that, but to assume that the people making it didn't care,
no, they
it's a whole other conversation. I just think we should get that. And again, that doesn't mean there are some people who don't care. That doesn't mean there are not some games that are cash grabs. And it doesn't mean that people aren't just saying this because they don't have the vocabulary to say the other things. But I think if we went into these things assuming people meant their best and point and try, and then still pointing out where they didn't get it right is fine. You can still treat someone like a human and say, this is where things don't work. And that's really where I would like us to get the conversation, because again, just building some of these things myself, obviously, Aaren, you can speak to the same.
Yeah.
Anyone who has just messed around with Unreal or Unity, go download it right now. It's free. Right? Go and try to make a game, and then go back and tell a developer how bad they are. How
lazy you think they are. Like, what?
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought the game looked really good. I thought the vignettes and all the stuff that they have around the game look really good. The problem was execution on Sony part, and they need to own up to that and see exactly what went wrong. Now, you can take the the problem with pulling the plug in the manner that they did. Of course, you could have gave everybody back their money. You could have did that. But you could also say, you know what, we're going to own this, and we're going to eat this, and we're going to throw this into our service, because that would have showed. See, this is where the philosophies of the two companies differ, and it differs greatly. It differs greatly to the point where you gave the value to the service to the millions of clients that you do have already. The people with the eyeballs, this is what you want for a game like this. For this game to survive, you need the eyeballs. And if you already have, let's say they have 40 million, let's say they have 50 million subscribers to their service, that means you have 100 million eyeballs that can see this game, and you want to keep these eyes on this game. Put it in your service. Yeah, you want to.
I said the same thing. I said the same thing. It should have been on PlayStation Plus day one. Even now, it should have continued there while you're retooling it. If you're
and you should have been dropping vignettes all the time. Like, listen, it's strategic ways in order to drum up FOMO for your game. There's ways. I'm the marketing director at ILP. All right. So when I see a marketing blunder, I get antsy. I get worked up because I understand what could have made something super successful. It's how you deliver
a little bit more
to the people and how you create that FOMO. And I see the deficiency in Sony itself in drumming up that type of FOMO for something that they're not well versed in. Multiplayer games need to have that. What I'm gonna do next? What's gonna happen? You're supposed to show your roadmap. Yo, this character is gonna be dropped out at this time, so you know in November we have the shadow-based character that has this move, and he's gonna dynamically change the playboard. And you like, what? I'm looking forward to that. So you already built FOMO before the game is released for the DLC that's there. But if you buy the package now, this guy is for free. You could have still sold that DLC package for $40. Gave the game for free inside your service. They gotta buy your service to get in. These guys play your game, they test your game. You have an open beta, right? That open beta would have been more successful had you dropped vignettes earlier on. There was a moment where marketing was supposed to step up, take the reins, and take that game and drive it straight to the PSN. You didn't do it. That's where the loss was, and that's where you're supposed to hold your head.
I told people on here that this could have been a For Honor story. I don't know if people remember. For Honor started as a bad game. Nobody liked it. It had terrible scores. Go check For Honor right now. You may not be playing it. I may not be playing it, but it's got a consistent millions of players every month.
Ubisoft really, they stick with it. Yeah,
that's right.
And
that's right.
The sentiment I see around this too is, you know, and I don't want to touch on the quality of the game.
Of course,
there's a lot of people saying the team on Concord should have known it was a bad game or whatever. I'm like, the team making it probably agreed with you on a lot of this. It's not their choice to say, no, we don't need to put, like, the people making it were doing their jobs. They didn't play a part. They're not decision makers. Yes. And that's it's unfortunate because it looked of a high quality.
It did, right? Like when you seen the animations when you pick your character, you like, yo, that looks good. 60 frames a second. That's what we looking for, right? High res. That's what we looking for, right? Animations is top notch. Voiceovers, really good stuff. I was taken aback in how quickly they pulled the plug and didn't try to spin it, save it, or revive it. And then when you look in the background for how much money was lost in it, I can understand because somebody said enough is enough. That part happened.
Well, so and
move on. Yeah, I'll let you have the last word. Go ahead. Yeah.
Two things I want to say is just to wrap up the whole lazy devs comment. Like, you got dudes that don't even edit their own YouTube videos calling devs lazy. So that's the worst. That's thing one. And then
slander.
The other thing is, you know, I'm right.
Oh no, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying that.
But the other part of it is when, you know, my bigger, not concern, but my question, my curiosity is if Sony is retooling right now, if they are under new management, if they are under a new lens, what do they take from this and where do they go next? Is it more sunk cost fallacy? We've spent all this money on this idea, so we stick with it? Or is it, listen, you know, Bungie is in a precarious situation. We'll see what happens with Marathon. Concord didn't work out. I don't hear anybody like writing home about I can't wait to play fair games. And so I'm not saying this to be slanderous or whatever. My question is, what do they do next? What is the learning from this? Because, and again, this will bleed into the next topic. When I hear Hiroki Totoki saying, you know, it's very hardworking, talented people, but they don't really know how to connect the work that they're doing with how there's a return on investment. I feel like, you know, you hear this story. Was he talking about Concord? Right? When you hear those kind of numbers thrown around, and
he was talking to Bungie when he said that.
Well, yeah, I think so too. I think Bungie was a big focus there. Yeah.
But the question is, what is the learning from Sony from this? How do they pivot from this? Is there a change or do they stay the course? So like, what do you guys think? And that's my biggest takeaway from this. If they're trying to shore up ways
honestly
that they can make money, do they need to be in service games? Yes, but
this is the thing, right? People think that this means that they can pivot back to what you remember of how they used to be. Well, nothing to see here. Now we're back to single player primary games. I would like that, right? We call ourselves graybeards on this channel. A lot of graybeards would appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think you put that genie back in the bottle. Like, you still costs of development are still ballooning. They are still on that path of newest, latest, best, the biggest graphics, the baddest graphics, the most complicated worlds. You can't put that to the toothpaste. You can't put it back in the toothpaste, right? You can't put it back in. They still need to move forward. They still need to find a way of cracking that nut that is live service games. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here, right? Because I want them to go back to the what is the house of ideas. But that house of ideas, you would have to you'd have to shrink yourself and turn yourself into Nintendo's business model. And that's not what people know from you, PlayStation or Xbox, right? In hindsight, Nintendo had the right of it, right? Keep costs low, keep hardware, still somewhat either break even or maybe make a little bit of profit on it. And then just let the
sue every
rise.
small company that even comes close
sue
to any
everyone
of your ideas.
In dust. Yes,
it's
that's
a
right.
perfect business model.
But they seem to have the right of it.
And suing small companies.
Unfortunately, I don't see any world where Sony and or Microsoft can pivot to Nintendo's direction now, because it seems like you guys have made your bed as far as what people expect from you. So you got to kind of lie in it. Aaren, what are your thoughts? What do you think?
I think they'll, I don't think they're just going to pull out of this. And they're obviously still invested in high quality single player things as well, like Astrobot. And I pray let Asobi just keep doing what they're doing. I want 10 of those. Give me more of those.
Sony own Asobi?
No,
I'm not sure.
Sony does not own Asobi. I looked into
that studio. Asobi got together after they closed Sony of Japan, and they came together and they made their own studio.
Yeah,
cool.
So they bought
so this is like
not Asobi.
Yeah, good.
But I do think you gamble on, like you accept some losses as well, and maybe this is an astronomical one. Like maybe they didn't factor this in, but you never go in.
This is not couch cushion money, man. This is not couch cushion money.
No, but they have more money than I can even imagine. I can't imagine this will be their last foray, and obviously marathon's yet to come, and we'll see how that shakes out. But it's scary territory, man. I'm glad I'm not the one making decisions.
Indeed, you and me both, sir. How about you, King David? What are your thoughts?
They already showed you what they're gonna do. If any boxer, when he's fighting, he gets hurt, he's gonna revert back to style. All right, so what we know for them to do is they just showed you Horizon. Remember, Days Gone couldn't get a sequel. Days Gone,
but now they're doing a remake.
Bro, do you understand? Get these assets going. Let's go. What haven't we pushed out that should be over here now? All those conversations that people were talking about with the single player games that they do have, they just put God of War on PC the other day, right? They're trying to get away from the stink of anything negative. They're trying to bury it. So what is the most positive thing that they could put out right now? PlayStation 6 information. I gave y'all that AMD won that chipset bid 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm telling people, also I'm like part investigator. I'm telling people, why is this information being prevalent now? The reason why is a dead body, and they're trying to cover it up with Febreze, right?
Nothing to see here.
Exactly, right? There's a lot of things that's happening over at Sony, whereas you could say, all right, so you have Concord, you have Astrobot being fantastic, but not selling as well as
they should have.
Indicate, right? The numbers indicate something. I'm streaming that game on Twitch, today later on. I play the game. I love the game. I've been an Astrobot proponent forever. I guess I thought that was supposed to be
you and me in that VR version, man. You and me in that VR version. Oh, bro.
See, what people don't really realize is that game, that mascot, that character itself ushers in new tech. He's been onboarding for new tech all of their new
for
tech.
some time now. Yes,
the iToy, the VR, the PlayStation DualSense. Now you have the PlayStation 5 Pro. I believe that game was supposed to be in a box. I believe they took the game out because they needed to make money off of losses that's being had now. But there's other ways to do that. Anyway, their pivot is what I showed you. They're going to go back to tried and true. And while doing tried and true, they're going to start to hit on our heartstrings. You finally seen Silent Hill's exclusive date. It's 1 year now. Before, you didn't understand or didn't know what the date was, and that date didn't come out, and you didn't know that until they had to pull it out the bag. I think it was probably 3 months before, and they said, you know what? No, we're going to give you extra money to keep it for a year, because what they need is a year's time to get to some form of cadence and some form of roadmap on what they're known for. Single player story driven narratives that pull at your heartstrings of stuff that you remember. So they're going to go right back into the Rolodex. First one always out is Horizon. Horizon is what they throw to everybody to push out. I think Horizon, they want you to.
Hey, that's Herman's baby. It is what it is. That's right.
You're starting to see now the things that Herman pushes the most aren't good products. Just keep watching what I'm saying. And you'll realize at the end of the day, he's on the hook now. He's the big fish on the hook. He's the next one out the water.
Good boy.
But do they go back to games of service? Hell no. I think they keep Bungie. And to further drive the point home, I think they kill Marathon. I think Fair Games dies. I think you see Destiny 3. I think they, because all right, what is an unknown commodity? Marathon. What if the Destiny fan base doesn't like that? How do we fall back to Destiny? Do we lose Destiny? This is the one that's making us some money right now. But how do we get this fan base back engaged? Destiny 3, new hardware, bigger, better, badder, safer, making money, right? So I'm sorry, I think they're gonna fall back to that.
Is Destiny 3 just Destiny 2 with new skins?
It will make people happy. It will safe. Everybody wants a binky. Everybody wants a security blanket. Everybody wants a
everybody wants a binky.
Right? If you had, and the reason why I can laugh and say this, Microsoft didn't try to invent the wheel. They went out and brought the biggest wheel that they can find with the biggest amount of money. There's no bigger wheel in Call. They didn't try to make a game from scratch to go up against the biggest. Well, no, they went and brought the biggest. Now we just gonna reap the money in, and however long it takes for them to recoup the money out, they just got a sure thing now. So now, so everybody wants a sure thing. Everybody wants that ace in the hole, and Sony has the ace in the hole. Fall back to what you know. That's why you see 30 years of PlayStation. They're doing it right in front of your eyes. You don't have to wonder what's happening. They're showing you who they are.
Yeah, they've already started. They put great tint on all their entire frame and said 30 years. Let's go. You know, listen, absolutely.
They only have 12,300. Who the hell is getting them? Like, I know I already gave up before
that's gonna be tough.
Started. I'm like,
that's gonna be tough to get.
I thought you was going to attempt to get the new Escalade with this or the Cybertruck.
I'm better off than a Leprechaun.
All right,
we got one last story, but before we get to our last story, let me catch up on these super chats, and then we'll get to the last story and we'll get out of here. We want to respect Aaron's time.
Yeah, 4 o'clock, man. It's like 5 now.
Yeah. Flight 116 with a $2 super chat. He says Digital Foundry is what happened. I guess he means it's what happened to the discourse. Unfortunately, you know.
I don't know that I subscribe to that because I'm never against giving people information. Now, information is on them. If you're gonna take the information they give you and use it to, hold over somebody for these debates that we have online,
then that's on you. Yeah.
With them now.
Although I will say. They do sometimes step in it, whether on purpose or by accident. They do sometimes step in it with the way they say certain things, a la 4070. We'll keep that one moving.
No. It's also fine, right? I'm not saying they don't benefit from people doing that, but I cannot fault anyone for, unless they're actually lying to you, I can't fault anyone for giving you information.
I hear you. I hear you. Lucius, $5 super chat. What's going on, brother? He says, if something sucks, you need to tell people that something sucks. Problem with Concord is they weren't getting the negative feedback, meaning they weren't getting the fact that people didn't like certain things. I guess that's what they're calling toxic positivity. I don't like that term, but okay. Lucius follows that up with a $2 super chat, and he says, when Sony folds and puts more, when will Sony fold and put more games on Xbox? Quickly, I will ask King David, do you think that's ever going to happen?
Sorry,
PlayStation put games on Xbox?
Yes.
Okay.
We're at a time right now, and Phil and them know it. See, Microsoft has enough money to be able to be as flexible. Plus, they're losing. So, but when I say they're losing, I want you to understand they're losing in perception and they're losing in hardware sales. That doesn't
mean they're losing anything.
That doesn't affect them when Diablo can make $1 billion and 150 million in skins.
Aaren came to Gamescom. You remember their footprint at Gamescom, Aaren. I'm sure you saw that.
Oh yeah.
Does that look like a company that's losing? I don't think so.
No, that looks like a company playing a 20-year game.
Exactly. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So, really, PlayStation is going to do it. Remember, they said they wasn't going to do date and date. Now you see all their titles is date and date right now. If you're not looking, Silent Hill's date and date. Everything is date and date, and then they're going to realize that they hit the ceiling. Right? No. Sony's a slow kid in the class, and you got to bring him close, and he got to be comfortable with what's going on. Hey, come, Sony, come here. You can come, you can swim. The water's not that deep, and once they're comfortable, they're jumping feet first, and they're bringing their stuff over,
and they're doing good. Yes,
you're not going to get tentpole titles. I mean, Helldivers 2 would have benefited greatly from being on Xbox. Concord would have benefited greatly from being on Xbox. They're going to look at. I can tell you this title that's going to go definitely first. Horizon.
You mean the Lego Horizon or just Horizon?
No, I believe Lego Horizon is launching on Xbox next year in 2025. I said that already from the rip. But
clip that, ladies and gentlemen. Clip that. There you go.
But I believe Horizon, in the same game that they're remaking right now, is going to be on Xbox sometime, probably next year. Yeah.
Stop the slander, Lucius. Stop the slander. We don't want to hear that. I love that game. Stop it.
I'm not with you.
See, I played 300 hours of that game, myself and my daughter. She loves the turtles. She likes to, take on the bigger, badder monsters. My daughter and I played many hours of that game. But I am a minority in it because everybody comes to me and goes, "What do you mean, Horizon Forbidden Sleep?" I'm like, calm down, people. Calm down. But okay. Thank you. Thanks to the 300 plus people, 440 some odd people that are still here watching between the Twitters and the YouTubes. We appreciate y'all. On Twitter.
Since we have 400 and some odd people, I'm just going to take one more opportunity to shill for the Kickstarter that we have going.
Oh, okay. Please do quickly. Go ahead.
Amazing books with this amazing artwork. And we're again telling an epic fantasy story that is X-Men meets Lord of the Rings. We've got our own little Everborn cinematic universe going on, and we have our Prince of Arcadia series, Ariel's Adventure, and the Redlands. They're all telling the same story, following a different character, telling the story from their vantage point. Check out the campaign; you will not be disappointed. And again,
link is in the chat.
Some of the quality on display here. So we are releasing Ariel's Adventure Chapter 2. And you do not want to miss this. So just because we have so many people here, I wanted to remind everybody we are 73% funded, and we are almost over the line. I'd love for us to get over the line this week because there are some really fun stretch goals that I have planned for this campaign. So we're right there. Check it out if you can. I think the best value is the rightful heir tier. That's where you get all the books that we've produced if you're not invested already into the saga, as well as some custom merch like t-shirt posters and things like that. So do not you don't want to miss this campaign. We've got about 17 days to go or 16 days to go. check it out. We're almost there, and really check out those add-ons, because we put a lot of hard work into that. So let's get on to this last topic. But again,
the last topic, because and of course, please check the link in the description when this thing posts. Check the link that I just posted in the chat. Let's fund the Everborn saga. Let's get it to 100%. We are so close. Shout out to everybody who's here and who's supporting. Thank you to the 400 plus people still rocking with us. Final story, because we touched on Nintendo, we touched on PlayStation. Oh boy, was there an interesting article about Xbox this week, and we'll talk more about it. I will leave you to go and read the article for yourself. Hopefully you have access to it. I know it's behind a paywall, but I know people can read it. You can find it and read the article for yourself. But I'll save my thoughts for what I think is going on here towards the end. But I know, King David, you most likely saw this coming up. You probably have talked about it already. Basically, for those who aren't aware, it's the vantage point of Sarah and her team during the time frame during the ABK trial and them waiting for it and all the fallout that has come since that time, and what they think is happening behind the curtain that is Xbox leadership. Mr. King David, sir, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts is you get a chance to see her maturation into her position. They groomed her into the space that she's in now. Remember, she came from the T-Mobile background. Her T-Mobile background is essential to what Microsoft is trying to bring to the forefront. It's the mobile storefront, and her expertise in that area is essential to get that off the ground and release. Now, I know in July they were supposed to release the mobile storefront. It's not ready yet. What they ran into a couple of problems, and remember, they are still talking with iOS.
That couple is Apple and Google.
Right. Okay. So, like I was saying, iOS is charging an exorbitant amount of money. And they're still fighting that in court with litigations. But internally, they have the storefront around internally, and y'all can go check it out. I'm sending something that's that nobody can't go verify. With some of the teams that they're going over the kinks with it. But what you're seeing is they're doing mini modes. A lot of stuff is being shrunken down for tablets and how it can be used in conjunction with controllers. Remember, she is in charge of hardware, so she's allowing you to get a peek into her thought process and how she works with Phil and bringing new ideas and what he wants to see done with the hardware in conjunction with Jason Ronald, that is in control of all of hardware when it comes to this aspect. So they're working in a trifecta, her, Jason Ronald, and Phil, in what they want to bring to market and what matters most. So they still talk about home console, which I believe is a farce. That's just my opinion. And I know that the handheld hardware is something that they're enamored with at the moment, and something that they want to bring to the forefront. I believe that the handheld is going to be the console. The dock is going to be the boost power up. However they work it will be smart move. Don't split it. Do not do what you did this generation. Do not split the SKUs.
Also, so you're on the Switch train. One device that's able to hybridize home and on the go. Don't create a separate console for the home.
Right, okay. Because my Switch never moves. My Switch stays right there, right? So that's an option. You give the people the option to take it on the go, whatever. You work out the power differences when you're using it. What she did say, and she didn't say much, right? But what she did say was hardware is inbound. They are talking about it. They did touch on handhelds, and I do expect that to be the primary device. I need them to understand two things and why this generation did not go the exact way that you wanted it to go, and why you had to spend X amount of money to do something different. And I'm glad that you did. When you decided to cater to the cheaper, how can I say, consumer with the S, you split your market. And when you split your market, you had the premium console guy that always supported you, and then you had the casual. Not knowing the casual drives the market. You came into the problem when you saw that the X sold less than the S, and you cannot release yourself from parity because you will be excluding your larger fan base, which is the S, is the casual. Right. Yeah. So now you put yourself in a position where you're beholden to whatever the S is talking about, and you can't maximize the power in the X. Do not make the same mistake the next generation. Stick to one format, allow that SKU to be able to be scaled up and down from home dock mode to on the go. You would win that way. And I do predict, because it will be 2 NPUs in the box, one to assist the GPU and one to assist the CPU. And in doing so, you can have lower battery reliancy when you have these, because you're going to be outputting at lower resolutions with lower GPU output. If you do that, you have the AI work in conjunction with that. You can have longer battery life, smaller form factor, less heat sinks inside, less fans. There's a lot of things that you can do with that technology in that manner.
Mr. Everborn Saga, sir, as Nerds and Other Legends, great name, by the way, Nerds and Other Legends says he got from that article that she also is the driving force, the push for multi-plat strategy, hate it or love it, right? It seems that she's the big force behind that business strategy. What are your thoughts, sir? What do you think about the fact that people? It seems that people have been using Mr. Phil Spencer as the whipping boy about this whole change of narrative, but now, based on this article, it seems like that push comes from the person who came from T-Mobile, the uncarrier, if you will. What are your thoughts?
I mean, there's a lot to it, and we talked about this extensively yesterday, and so. When I read this article, the first thing that I sent you in the DM, first thing I said to you was, it seems like a branding exercise for Sarah Bond, right? Meaning we want to give the public a sense of who she is, and again, almost this idea that she is the heir apparent, right? She's the next one in line that they're going to pass these things to. But if it is a branding exercise, and when we listen to the way it was worded, there's certain language in there that says there's more going on here than just what I'm reading in the text. You read the text and then you understand the subtext. So when they say things like Phil is not, like, she's not being paid to do what Phil says. It's what
Phil says he meant. Yes.
When they say that they had to go to HR because Phil didn't know how to communicate. When they say she's up working and Phil clocks out at 10 while she's the one.
This is why I'm like, I'm going to save mine at the end. Exactly what you're describing right now. Yes. Continue. Yes, absolutely.
So all of these things make me think, these lines and these paragraphs are doing more work than just what they're saying, and they're painting it as though, especially the line where they were surprised that she wouldn't let things go, as though she's the driving force behind some of these things, as though she is the one who came up with the idea to spin off the cloud rights in order to get the So now when we talk about her as a disruptor, if you're disrupting the console market and you're driving the disruption, then what is that disruption? And what is being disrupted is thinking about my box, my games, my platform is my box. And if we're saying she was brought on to
disrupt the status quo,
even if you watch the YouTube video with, I believe, Dina Bass or whoever it was that interviewed her here, they didn't say Phil's name once. They just referred to Phil Spencer as her boss, right? And you hear these things, and I'm not making a judgment one way or the other, because at the end of the day, like, for where Xbox is, they need a killer. And let's be very clear, Sarah Bond is Princeton and Harvard educated. She comes from executive stock. She again helped T-Mobile change things here. And I see Paris in the chat. There's a simple answer to all of this that you are not saying. I'd love to hear what that is. But so what I'm getting at is, when we hear a few months back that there's an internal struggle, and then you read this, it makes you wonder if the internal struggle is not necessarily Amy versus Phil. Is it because, listen, this is corporate Game of Thrones, this is Succession. Is it Sarah having a different plan than what the legacy people think?
Yeah,
because,
and
again,
the legacy people being Phil Spencer.
Right. She is the outsider who sees the potential of where the brand could go, and the legacy guys may be attached to the old way that we view things. And so, is that the rift, and is that what this article and this profile is designed to do?
Now, real quick, Aaren, as a man who I'm sure you want to see your game on all of these platforms one day, I will gladly let you bow out of this particular conversation if you so choose, sir. What are your thoughts here?
I just want to say Sarah Bond is great.
There you go. Understood.
And I don't disagree. King, what do you think about what my take on this? You're on mute, by the way, King.
Oh yeah, he's a little busy
he's
right now.
Off.
Give him a minute. Yes. So yes, he shall return. This is an interesting article that I think swerves a lot of narratives and paints a very different picture than we suspect than had been the narrative beforehand, right? Like you're saying, Everborn Saga, I think there's a lot. It's not agenda driven necessarily, but I feel like there's a lot of subtext in this article that is not necessarily being spelled out. And Paris, your simple answer was still waiting for that answer. We would love. We would love.
Shoot the man a link.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll definitely do that.
No, I'm so sorry.
No.
Right,
You good, sir? You good?
I was reading through something that was there to
okay.
see if I could put it up. No,
okay.
She's not the one fighting on the insides. Okay.
No.
They huddled up together. So you have Matt Booty, Phil, and Sarah. Yeah, is it a Game of Thrones succession thing? No. Is she the heir apparent? I really think that Matt is the heir apparent because he has the larger workload when it comes to dealing with the developers, dealing with the games and all that other stuff, right? So, but I do believe that they understand right now they need a softer touch. She fits the bill, right? What you don't want to see, for lack of better words, and I do apologize if I offend somebody, you don't want to see, and I've heard this internally, you don't want to see a middle-aged white guy bringing you news, right? So what they do is they bring someone that is more pleasing to market. She is charismatic. She fits the bill, and she gives a different side of Microsoft or Xbox, right? And I believe that to be the truth. I don't believe that is what's said. I didn't hear that from anybody. That's my belief, that I believe that to be true. So I believe that they put her in front, and they're using her like you see Phil right now. You will see less of Phil, more of her. Right, talking about the Xbox brand. She is the president or the CEO of Xbox, right? So this is what she's talking about, where Phil is with Microsoft Gaming. I don't believe that struggle is there. Do I believe that she has a strong philosophy when it comes to multi-platforming? Yes, I do believe that. But I believe that philosophy internally is they want to diversify because they already see the ceiling from the 250 million gamers, which it is. So branding wise, I believe that she's in the forefront. Strategy wise, I believe they're all on board. Now, as far as that platform that we're talking about, that putting games on PlayStation, I honestly don't believe that any of the three that is on the Xbox side of things really want their games on the opposing platform. But in order to drive back revenue from money that was lent and given to them with return on investment coming back in, we need our 70 billion back. You have to find different ways in order to make money, and I think reluctantly she's part of that strategy. But mobile, yes. PC, yes. Xbox, yes. PlayStation, damn it, we got to do it. But you know, that type of thing.
I will let the man who enjoys joining us, and we always appreciate when he does, I will let him have the last word. Ladies and gentlemen, Paris Lilly, your thoughts, sir?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me up. And second,
always a pleasure, sir.
Yeah, thank you. King, you know I love you, brother.
Go ahead, go for it, man. Kill me. Go for it.
No,
kill me.
I only disagree on one thing that you said.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sarah Bond will be the next CEO of Microsoft Gaming. It won't be Matt Booty.
Okay.
That, in my opinion, I think Matt is exactly where he needs to be.
Right.
Think about all that he has on his plate right now. He is managing all of Xbox Game Studios. He's managing Bethesda. He has oversight in Activision and marketing.
Yeah.
If you look at where Sarah has been positioned, and if you just look at the succession plan of what's happening, she has been the one side by side with Phil, not Matt. Anytime you need front facing, it's her. It's not Matt, right? Everywhere Phil goes, Sarah Bond is right there with her, or him, I should say. But to go back to all of what you're talking about, this article and the simple answer is the future of gaming is not about a console anymore, whether people like to hear it or not. And I know people are getting mad and outraged over that. Microsoft has clearly been is looking ahead, and they're being extremely aggressive with that. Will they give you an option of hardware? Yes. And to your guys' point, it is probably some type of hybrid handheld, right? But they're making sure their investments are in front of as many people as they can possibly put them. And they've been telling us this for years. We didn't want to hear it. And it's clearly accelerated now that they've gotten Activision. So we are going to continue to see Xbox games on PlayStation. You're going to continue to see games day and date on PC. You continue to see them leverage the cloud. And as they go into their next generation of hardware, they're going to make sure that that device is desirable to a lot of people, which is that handheld. It is the Nintendo model. I mean, like Nintendo, love Nintendo, hate them, whatever. But the Switch has shown the future of where gaming is going. Give me my experiences wherever I want to be at. And if I want to dock it at home on a big screen TV, I can do that too. That's where they're headed, in my opinion. I think it's as simple as that. And I'll say this, since you give me the last word. People criticizing Sarah Bond, look, criticize leadership for the mistakes that they make. I personally feel, and this is my opinion now, and I tweeted this out yesterday, Sarah Bond is being graded on a higher scale than her contemporaries. I 1,000% believe that. And part of that is her gender, and part of that is her race. You may not like to hear it, but it is the truth. Why is, and I'm just using this as an example, why is Herman Holtz not being held accountable for a $400 million disaster that was Concord? But all of a sudden, Sarah Bonds was put to the fire for closing Tango.
Wow. Paris Lilly with the villain arc right here. Let's go. All right.
It's the truth. And the reason I say that is, sure, Sarah Bond deserves the criticism. Sarah Bond, Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, they all deserve the criticism for how they handled the studio closures and the timing of it, the way it went. Give them that criticism. But what I'm saying is her contemporaries don't seem to get that same criticism. For the same exact things. And that is my only point. And she has clearly been set up to be the new leadership for Microsoft Gaming.
I just want to say one thing to your point, Paris, and you know for a fact that they're not going to allow the criticism to fall on that PlayStation. You already know that. So you know that level of tax is real, and be it good or be it bad, they're going to blow up whatever happens over here and play down whatever happens over here. But I think internally, where Microsoft understood what was going on with Tango, she wasn't, eviscerated for that. I believe internally Sony is on Herman internally.
So I mean, and I know Paris, you weren't gearing that towards us, but we did just 20 minutes ago give Herman Hulse all the smoke.
Oh no, yeah, I didn't hear that. That's just me coming in now. I didn't hear any of that.
Yes,
But the other thing, to me, this isn't really about who's right and who's wrong, because I do think the brand needs a shakeup, and you can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. So this isn't really a judgment as to the right and wrong of it. It is only an observation that it seems like these kind of articles, every word is not there by mistake.
Yeah.
And if it's left any impression, it is Sarah is the go-getter, and it didn't really paint Phil in the best light. And I'm not saying that to drive a wedge in any communities. This is what I took from reading every word in that article and the way that it was written. And I just wonder why that is. Like, what was the purpose of including certain lines in there? Because you could have gotten across the profile of Sarah Bond without saying, Phil was in his bed at 10 o'clock while we were
10 o'clock. Yeah, that
and
part was a little bit eyebrow raising.
Phil to HR, because it's very confusing to listen to him talk, and I got to remind myself not to listen to what he says, but understand what he means. And there was just a lot of, again, almost like jabs in there, and it makes me wonder if there is any disagreement in terms of the path forward between them. And because this is the way you would do it in this setting, right? You're not gonna go and because again, part of this is a battle for public perception. Part of this is what is your direct line to the shareholders? It's all of those things are at play. And again, if you're doing a Bloomberg profile, the words are chosen carefully. So I just wonder what the meaning behind those things are, and what everyone thinks those are. Or the question is, Paris, did you notice what I noticed, or that didn't cross your mind when you read those parts of it?
No, it definitely crossed my mind, and I'm not trying to. We're in the political season right now, so I'm not trying to divert from what you're talking about here. But my thing with Sarah comes down to this: she, after that the Bloomberg interview, after they closed Tango and all that stuff happened, obviously it had already been scheduled. It was what it was. She was basically put out on the front line for that, and we saw what that interview was. It was not great. We all know that.
Yep.
What I don't like is the fallout from that was, and this is where I'm saying she's being held to a higher standard than her contemporaries. And when I say her contemporaries, I'm not just talking PlayStation or whatever. I am literally talking about if that would have been Phil Spencer that did that interview. Is my point.
Yes, absolutely.
She's a DEI hire. Oh, why are you going? She's only up there because she's black. Like, you hear all this nonsense, and that would it literally angers me when I hear that kind of stuff, because she's smarter than any of us that are in this chat right now. She's highly educated. I mean, go look at her resume. You mentioned the T-Mobile stuff already. So it's almost insulting to hear something like that. Like I said, criticize her for the moves that were made because she sits on that leadership table on 100%. But when you bring in her credentials and use that as a critique, or you bring in her gender or the color of her skin as a critique, that's what I have a problem with. And again, I'm saying this as a black.
I think you get no argument from anybody on this stage.
Let me finish this.
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason I am saying this is because as a black man who is in tech, who does not see a lot of people that look like me in this industry, especially in the leadership side, we finally get someone that is sitting at the leadership table, that has a voice, that has an opinion on the direction of where gaming is going. And then you try to tear her down because you didn't like the decision you made. But since she's a black woman, they only put her there because of DI or whatever. So yeah, I'm very vocal about that. And I take whatever criticism comes my way over that is fine, because I absolutely believe what I'm saying. And this is why I'm saying, again, why is it her contemporaries that make the same damn decisions and the same failures and successes seem to get lauded for the successes, but don't take as much of a hit for the failures? That is my point. And I'll say this and I'll stop talking. If we run Sarah Bond out of this industry, guess what? We ain't gonna get another one. I'm tell you that right now.
True.
So that's why I'm very vocal about this, because I see the double standard and it's BS.
No, I don't disagree.
Yeah,
I don't disagree.
and
Everborn Saga, you have any part that you want to talk about? What do you want?
no. I'm just saying, like, no one here is, and I know again, Paris. I know you're making.
It is always random chat person that says education doesn't always mean smart, Paris. I work with plenty of master degrees and PhDs. So what are you trying to say, JB1521? So this is where I'm saying again. People love to criticize things that they don't know anything about, and they try to go, well, I don't care if she's educated. She still doesn't know what she's talking about. This is where I'm saying, again, it's a double standard. How did she get in the position that she was in unless she had the education and the skill set to get into that position? What are you saying?
Yeah, I think Sarah Bond is, just from business accolades to education to pedigree, probably is more well suited to do these things than a lot of her contemporaries. But I also think that is a separate argument. So again, certainly not me, but I hope no one here is saying that she doesn't deserve the position she's in.
No.
And I really don't want the conversation to go there. But what I am saying is, just looking at the facts on the page, what does that mean? And Chad, I'd like to focus on that and not this sort of DEI
that's
a whole other conversation that is not what this is about. What I am doing right now, or what I'm trying to have a discussion about, is looking at her as a contemporary and as an equal, and trying to understand what the strategy was based on the text that we read. And if we can't have the conversation on those terms, then we shouldn't have it. But I do think it is worth having a discussion about what the goals are here, and what is the interpretation of
what the goals of this article was. That seems to be the subtext that you're picking up on. I'm similarly with you in that although, you know, we're not denying her credentials, we're not denying any of that, and if you are, then you don't deserve a place in this conversation, because that's not what this is about, right? But what I will say, as you were saying, there seems to be subtext in this article. It seems somewhat like a hit piece. That's what it seems like. At the base level, it seems like a hit piece. It seems like the sniper has taken aim, and the shot that is being fired towards Phil. That's what it seems.
I came away from reading the article thinking this woman should be running Xbox and not Phil, and I don't think that was a mistake.
Yes.
Right. And it makes me wonder, like that, like the information in there really seems like that's the work it was meant to do. That was like Inception. We're going to put the idea in your head. And I just wonder why that is. Because very easily it could have been the layup. We're handing it to, you're the Arab. A lot of us thought that. A lot of us still think that.
Yeah.
So what's the reason for that language? And I don't think I've gotten a clear answer on it yet.
Alvin, $5 super chat. He says, no one who did 5 seconds of research would say Sarah is a DEI hire.
She's more qualified.
She shows merit.
Princeton and Harvard. She's more qualified. Yeah. Like Phil started as an
shows
intern.
The merit of those who have that narrative. So there you go. Thank you, Alvin, for the contribution and for your thoughts. I wholeheartedly agree. This is a conversation that I think we will have in this space for some time, because as this conversation is coming together, it's coming together because we haven't seen. We keep hearing about what Microsoft is going to do. We haven't actually seen what they're going to do, because it seems like they're right at the cusp of that next step that they're going to take, and because of that, all these conversations tend to take up all the air in the room. Paris, I will stand with you and continue to fight that good fight for anybody that seems to push this in that direction of DEI hire and all that ridiculousness. I think that stuff is toxic and belongs nowhere in this conversation. But Everborn Saga, to your point, I do think it's a very interesting place we find ourselves, where I feel like they're setting this up like a Game of Thrones back and forth, even though it may not necessarily be that way internally. Like, that's why I'm like, this article says a lot of subtext, right? It's very, very odd. Or maybe there is actually merit to some of the background moving and shaking, but it just seemed very odd in the way the words they chose. Like, to your point, them pointing out Phil's sleeping schedule, which is a thing that he himself has said many years ago. So this is not new information. He likes to be able to disconnect and go to bed at 10. We know this about the man. He said this a long time ago. Pointing that specific part in here when people are waiting for the ABK news and that seems to try to paint a picture that's unflattering. And I'm wondering why that is. Right? That's why I brought this article up. It just seems like something's happening.
Profile without
mentioning those things. That's right.
And this is not even to defend Phil. I'm just saying there's something happening here.
Something's afoot. Yeah.
Can we discuss that as commentators and try to be respectful about it? Because again, if Matt Booty did this article, I would have the same questions. Why is it written in this way? Yeah. So and there's always people that bring the nonsense to it, but I don't want to give them any difference, because that's a dumb argument. She's more qualified than the rest of them. That's why she's there. And as a matter of fact, a lot of the times you don't get into those roles unless you're more qualified than your contemporaries, if you are somebody that looks like her. So that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah. Absolutely. But you know what? Okay, no, please finish your point.
No. I again, are they of accord? And this is the first time that I've questioned whether they are on the same page. Not them being together and smiling and doing the press, because that doesn't mean anything when you're playing at this level. It's politics at this level, and I'm wondering, is this happenstance, or is there some politics at play?
Yeah. Okay. And shout out to the man Parasili, who jumped in real quick to drop his bars. The gentleman had to skip out. We appreciate you for being here. And you know what? On that note, I want to be respectful. I want to be respectful of Aaron's time. It's probably morning time right now. He's got to go hibernate, sir.
Yes, for sure.
I think my kids are waking up.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's like 7 o'clock now.
I appreciate you for being here, sir. I think we're going to table this conversation for further discussion, because this ain't going to go nowhere. But before we get out of here, Aaren, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for basically spending your evening with us, spending your nighttime, your sleep hours with us. Tell the fine people all around the internet who may catch this later, where they can get your game, where they can keep up with your ongoings, what else you're doing, sir.
Yeah, for sure. I'll start off by saying, thank you so much for having me here. It's been a privilege, and it's great to meet you, Everborn, and King David as well. Such a pleasure.
Likewise.
And yeah, our game, It's Only Money. It's on Steam now. I'll try and get you some keys as well. Do a giveaway next show or something.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're going 1.0 in October, and then we'll look at consoles and stuff after the fact. And you can find me on Twitter at LameBoyColors, I guess, is my username there. I don't really tweet. I don't know. If you care, I'm there. No, I appreciate it, and this has been a wonderful time. I really appreciate talking with you guys, and just some great conversation. And yeah, great to meet you, all of you.
Absolutely, same to you. I will once again say, if you haven't checked out It's Only Money, do yourself a favor, go check out It's Only Money. It's very funny, it's very tongue-in-cheek, and it's GTA by way of 5 people, and it hits on a lot of cylinders. Oh man, I was floored by how good this game is. So
can I just say, you guys make really great use of slow motion.
Thanks, man.
All the points that you guys hone in on are always it's really good.
No, I'm glad.
Thank you so much for being here, Aaren. It's awesome to have you here. You are welcome back anytime, sir. We appreciate you. We love it when we can highlight developers who can actually eat with the money they make from this. This is not a corporation kind of situation. This is a man whose life will be better by you supporting his wares, and we always love that direct translation to the consumer. So
the real support the devs.
Absolutely,
thank you all, man.
Absolutely.
No, that means a hell of a lot. And anytime you want me back, just let me know. I'll be down.
Oh, you're part of the crew, sir. We will definitely be calling back on you to jump back on.
Get some sleep, sir. I know it's very
absolutely. Yes, I won't even wait till the show ends. You are free to leave and go get some sleep. Go right now, please.
All right, sweet.
Right.
Peace out. Thank you.
Catch you later.
Yeah. And King David, sir, it is always a pleasure when you are able to join us. You always bring that great reference point. You always bring that great thought process. Always approaching things from different angles that people may not have expected. We appreciate you, sir. If you're watching this show, you know exactly where this man is from. But please tell the people, in case they don't know, where they can get their frontline news, sir.
You can get Frontline News today. I'm about to drop that. So that's Xbox Frontline News. You can go check me out over there. I drop videos daily. Fridays is community days where we do fight night Fridays, and we have such a ball. It's insane. But also ILP. You can catch me at Iron Lords Podcast Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when I get there with the rest of the Lords of the Realm, Lord Attic, Lord Cognito, and Lord Sovereign. And we just, talk about what's going on in the industry as a whole, as a group, and we try to come together at some consensus on to agree or not to agree, but it's going to be fun, and we're going to make history doing it. But I'm also on Twitch right now, so if you want to see me playing games and you want to see me just running around having a good time, it's a little bit different. I'm not your normal Twitch guy. So just pull up and listen, guys. I play everything. So if you see a Nintendo Switch game there, or you see me playing on Steam, or if you see me playing on Xbox and PlayStation, don't be alarmed. I was not hacked. This is me.
You know what it is. We gamers first. I appreciate you, sir. That's great. That's great. Right. Now, of course, Mr. Everborn Saga, I don't have to ask where you will be. I don't have to ask where to find you, because we all know where to find you. And where is that? That is on Kickstarter.com, where he is still so close to the end of the line, ladies and gentlemen. More people should be partaking. We have 443 people still rocking with us from the various platforms. Please tell the people what they should be looking out for. Tell the people why they should be partaking of this Kickstarter campaign, sir.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. This is probably one of the best new comic books that you will read in the next, I don't know how many amount of times. Like that, we're talking about 72 pages. We're talking about some of the best artwork, some of the best colors, and an expansive story that takes place across a connected universe. This is from look, we got animations too. This is from an independent creator who is not bound to what any corporate whatever or any rage bait grifter is trying to sell you. This is just good storytelling by someone who cares about bringing the community along for the ride. And when I say that, I'm not joking. We actually put people who support this universe we're building into the story. This is all sort of handcrafted by a small team, and we're trying to take this thing to the next level and involve the community along the way. This Everborn is the first game was released coming up on a decade ago. So we've been doing this for a very long time. This is the 7th book we are releasing, and I think it is probably the best work we've done so far. Everything is leveled up. It is several years in the making, but we're here now, and it's just the start of many new things to come, from Comic-Con to the new website to the novel to games. And so it's all here. You can be a part of this now. We have some limited edition variant covers that are only being launched as a part of this campaign. There's literally 50 of them that we're printing, and when they're gone, they're gone. So when this is $1 billion IP one day, you'll be able to say you had that. So check this out. We put together some tiers, whether you've been following us for a long time or whether you're new to the IP. We have a loyalty tier. We have a rightful heir tier. It's $100 tier. I think that's the best one personally. It'll get you all the books.
That's the one that I subscribe to.
Some other custom
rightful
things. Look
tier.
at the pages.
Yeah,
look at what we're doing. I'm not like just saying this. Support me because you like Everborn. Support me because you like dope shit. So that's my one for the day. So
that's
look
your
at this.
two, but you're taking mine. It's fine.
Sure, I took yours. That's fine. But this is what we're doing, and you can really see here we put so much into this thing, and we really could use your support. So I said 73. We're actually 75% funded. So there's only 25% of the way to go. We got about 16 days left on the campaign. And again, I'm not announcing it yet because it's designed for a stretch goal, but you do not want to miss what we have on offer there. And again, I just want to highlight these two bottom tiers. These are the Everborn tier and the Immortal tier, and in those tiers we will make you characters in the book, and they are limited. So there's only 5 slots, 4 left for the Everborn tier. That's where you get your own character in the book. And you're looking at one of them now, and then and it doesn't have to be for you. It can be for a loved one or a friend. You want to put them in the book.
Salute to Soil Tech. He just upped his pledge. Salute to you, good sir.
Appreciate you, man. Let's go. Thank you. And then the Immortal tier, you will get a 1-of-1 cover by cover artist Philip Johnson, who does all these with your character on it, and I won't even have one of those. You'll be the only one with it.
Only one with the character. Okay.
When we get to Hollywood, you will have that. So and again, even the merch that we put together is made by Adidas, Fruit of the Loom, American Apparel, and Hanes. So we put together some very cool stuff, as well as wall art and things like that. So please check this out. We are almost there, and I really want this to be a launching point of where we take this thing next. And we do this all for the community of people who are helping build this new mythology. So check it out. Everybody on here, King, I know you can speak to the quality. You've supported this campaign in the past, so just check it out. So Lucius Augustus says he's confused on how to get the alternate covers. You can do it as an add-on to your existing pledge.
Your existing pledge. Okay.
Look at add-ons and you'll be able to see them there. So
yeah, I'm telling you right now, the books are of the highest quality, and I got mine signed. So my next one is going to be signed as well. But I'm telling you, to have a unique crafted worlds where you see that is going to expound to something different. Remember, guys, you have to know Image Comics started someplace, right? And Dark Horse Comics started someplace. Your favorite characters, Cerebrus the Aardvark, started someplace, and it started as an idea from one person that grew into something that was a phenomenon, that turned into something that is incredible. What you're witnessing right now is the building blocks of incredible. What you're witnessing right now is the start of something that's going to be told for future generations. So when you say, finally, I get a chance to see an Everborn Saga cartoon, or I get a chance to see a full-length movie, well, I know, and I was part of, and I did have, and this is this. And when you get
where it started
signed, and you say to yourself, Everborn made me a millionaire, now you know how it happened. So all you have to do is just go to the Kickstarter, support right now, and maybe, just maybe, you can be in on the ground floor of something special and unique. And if you have a 1-of-1 cover, imagine what that turns into years from now when that movie is going up and it's already signed and you have that cover that no one else have. Well, hey, you just also might be punching your ticket, that golden ticket, to where you want to be.
And
Absolutely.
guess what? There are only 3 of those slots because we can't do covers for everybody. So and one of them is gone already. So there's only 2 more chances to invest in that.
And real quick before we get out of here, I love that idea of getting the community involved. You saw Pixelbit G is in one of the chapters, fully realized, not just a walk-on role. Future chapters will feature the one Hargeet Chani, also fully well realized. If you want to be a part of that, there's options for you. There are tiers for you to assist in doing that as well. It is awesome that not only can you support the man and get him where he wants to be, but you can also be a part of that story and literally have yourself immortalized, whether it be you or a loved one. You can say, hey, you know, I want to turn this character into this person or that person. They'll work with you. They'll work on the backstory, work on your animations, how you look in the story. Excellent idea. I really love that part of is also available for people who want to support this campaign. So shout out to the Everborn Saga. Shout out to all of y'all who have already backed the project.
As one example, you guys know Gamer MD. He supported that tier the last campaign we did. This is his character. There
you go. Yeah, it's really, really cool. I really like that idea. It's excellent. It's an excellent idea.
just to let people know about it one more time. So again, thank you everybody for rocking with us. We are touching on 4 hours. Thank you for so many.
We're about to get out of here. Yep.
And thank you
for many ILP.
Yes.
Yeah, we're seriously. We try not to do that, but it happens. It happens all the time. As for me, real quick, before we get out of here, catch myself and John Wolf this Monday night, episode 50 of Gamers Playground. We've been doing this for a bit more than 50 episodes. But yes, we're gonna have a great time. We're gonna talk handhelds. We're gonna talk PC gaming as we do on the Gamers Playground. That's Monday night. Please don't forget. You can also come check out thegamingcircle.com. Small little venture we started. Really interesting. We're writing articles. We're getting interesting people to be a part of that. And that's also where you can find past episodes or live episodes of the Gaming Circle podcast, which we are live right now on that screen. You see it there, all on thegamingcircle.com. We actually had a lot of attention on our channel this week. Mr. Everborn Saga did his Steam box in his living room setup. You can go check it out.
King, I gotta tell you about that, man. We did a 4-hour stream. So what we did is we got one of these mini PCs. It's like the size of like an Apple TV, kind of, right?
Right.
But it has the same chipset that is in like the ROG Ally, basically, but with more RAM, a little bit more power to it. And we installed Bazite, which is an open source way of getting Steam OS. So it's basically a Steam Deck in this little box on the TV, right?
Basically a console for your living room, but Steam Deckified, if you will. You turn it on, you're going straight to Steam. You're underneath your TV, you got the Xbox controller out. You're in Steam store.
So you turned it on and everything. What's that?
I said, so you out Steam. Because remember, they was trying to get you the Steam Decks to your house. Not the Steam Decks. What was they called?
The Steam machines.
The Steam machines. Yeah.
It's basically a Steam machine, but back using the newer operating system, which is the Steam OS variant in the form of Bazite. A really interesting project. If you're not ready and willing to wait for them to give you that official, you could do that right now, and it'll cost you about the price of a console. So there you go. Really cool, interesting process. And you determine how much RAM you have. You determine how much storage you want to put in it. You don't just deal with what they give you. You do what you want with that, and it's still kind of a console. So it was a cool little project.
Pick up and play right on your Steam Deck or your ROG Ally with your Steam games, with your cloud saves. It all just follows you in it, and it just works. Yeah. And shout out to Lucius Augustus, who added the covers to his pledge, as well as Soil Tech.
Excellent. But I guess that's it for us, man. It's been a good show. I appreciate y'all for being here. Love the members. Thank you guys so much. You guys keep us moving. You keep us shaking. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't hit that like button on your way out, please consider doing that. Let the algorithms know that we are here and we're doing good things, and that you appreciate what we are doing here. So until next week, shout out to all y'all for checking us out. Have a good weekend. Peace.
Thanks for being on it.